It's a postseason battle tonight on ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball as the A's will try to get back on top of the wild card standings in Cleveland. The Indians, though, have other plans, looking to duplicate last night's 14-6 thrashing of Oakland. The win gave Cleveland first place in the wild card chase. In regional action, Big Mo and the Angels are still alive and need to keep winning, while Nomar and the Sox have the AL East on their minds. At 10 Eastern, the Mets and Mike Piazza lead the NL wildcard race. They'll go to San Diego to face the Padres, while some of you will see the Brewers in Arizona to take on Curt Schilling and the D-backs. ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is next. Coming up, most of you will see Manny Ramirez and the Indians battle Oakland. Cleveland right now leads the Athletics by a half game in the wild card chase. Some of you may see Anaheim at Boston, but right now the weather at Fenway is a problem. Hi, everybody. Bill Pito in the studio. Great to have you with us here on Wednesday Night Baseball. A couple of games from this afternoon to tell you about, including the Braves and the Rockies. Atlanta coming in 2.5 games in front of the Mets. This is Brian Jordan, home run, his 16th of the year. And Atlanta goes on to beat the Rockies by the score of 5-2. Todd Helton 0-for-4 in the game. His 14-game hit streak is over. He's now hitting .393. So the Braves now 3 games in front of the Mets in the NL East. Greg Maddux to win. He's now 14-7. Speaking of the Mets, you can check out New York as they try to avoid the sweep against San Diego. Mets and Pods tonight right here on ESPN at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. How about the Marlins and the Giants this afternoon? Ellis Burks, 4th inning, gone. 2-run home run. His 20th of the year. Burks 2 for 3 in the game, and the Giants win at 5-0, so that they now lead the D-backs by 2 games in the NL West. Levon Hernandez complete game, his 2nd straight shutout, a 4-hitter, struck out 5. Bonds a homer for San Francisco. Enjoy the baseball, everybody.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Keystone Light. Always smooth, never bitter.
Hello, everybody. This is Gary Thorne inviting you to join Mike McFarland and me from the Jake. It'll be Miguel Tejada, the Oakland A's, the Cleveland Indians, Manny Ramirez, and the wild card spot up for grabs. Welcome, everybody. ESPN Wednesday Night Baseball from the Jake. Charlie Manuel, the manager of Cleveland, says if we make it to the playoffs, our starters will get us there. On the shoulders of Bartolo Colon rests a huge part of whether they make it or not. Right now, they are a half game ahead of the Red Sox and the A's in that wild card spot. They get a chance to win the division. Welcome, everybody. These are vitally important games because you can see the end of the tunnel. I'm Gary Thorne along with Mike McFarland. Bartolo Colon will make the start tonight. He is a legitimate #1 starter.
He most certainly is. He is the stud of this staff. Here's a guy that possesses a 98-mile-an-hour fastball with the ability to locate it. He's going up against an Oakland Athletic team that likes to work the count, see a lot of pitches, and hopefully come through with a big bomb.
We are going to see a great pitching matchup tonight because on the other side is also the ace of the A's, Mr. Hudson, who has started his major league career with a 24-7 mark.
Gary, this kid is unbelievable. 25 years old, has the uncanny ability of elevating his game in these big games. The Randy Johnsons, the Pedro Martinez, the David Wells earlier this year. Again, a guy that likes the big lights, big situations, loves to be out here.
Great pitching matchup, and for Art Howe, the hope that this team can do a little better. Art Howe's club had a great first half, but on the road right now, they are struggling 1-5 on this current road trip. We'll take a look at the starting lineup for them tonight. Frank Minikino will make the start at second base. Terrence Long is in center field. Miguel Tejada, the shortstop, is having a great year. 21 home runs, 86 RBIs, second among all shortstops in Major League Baseball. That's how good he's been this year, and equally so defensively. Designated hitter Ben Grave tonight. Mike Stanley will make the start at first base. Matt Stairs is in right. Adam Pyatt will make the start in left. It'll be Eric Chavez at third. Ramon Hernandez will do the catching, and Tib Hudson is the starting pitcher in tonight's game. And there's the man the Cleveland Indians are relying on to be just as good as he has been in the first 2 seasons at the major league level, Bartolo Colon?
Well, you have to make Bartolo Colon come out and establish the fact he's going to throw strikes tonight. He has the little 2-seam fastball that he's added over the past couple years, a hard slider, and again, that 98-mile-an-hour fastball that he can locate. The Oakland A's are going to come out, try and work the count a little bit, something they haven't done the past couple of games. And then you go to the defense. Manny Ramirez coming back, playing right field. You see David Segui at first base. Einar Diaz catching Bartolo tonight, giving Sandy Alomar the night off. Going with that solid defense up the middle. Unbelievable.
Talking about defense, interesting matchup in that regard tonight for these 2 teams as well, because this Cleveland Indian ball club, 62 errors this season, is the fewest in the majors. The team they're playing against, Oakland, the most. And we are ready to go. And a strike on the outside corner. Take it, and we are underway. Great to have you with us for Wednesday night baseball from the Jake. Partly cloudy skies, warm, very pleasant evening here in Cleveland for this ball game. Rain came through this morning, none this afternoon. Both teams got their workouts in their entirety. Pitch misses outside, and a 1-ball 1-strike count. Bartolo Colon with the 2-seamer, 4-seamer, curveball, changeup, 47 and 29 in his career, and a better mark at home than on the road. Menachino takes the pitch inside, 2-1.
And again, you see strike 1 to Frankie Menachino, taking the next 2 pitches, trying to work the count, trying to get into the Cleveland Indians bullpen, get Bartolo out of there sooner than later.
They want him to throw as many pitches as they can get him to throw early in the game. That one will be foul back. That'll even the count up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Bartolo Colon, that has been, I mean, obviously you're talking about just a couple of years here at the major league level, but everybody knows that that's how you get to him, Mike, is just make him throw.
You have to, most definitely. And it's taught from day one in the Oakland Athletics organization, from the lower levels up to the major leagues. So these kids know when they do get up here, try and work the count, make the pitcher throw a lot of pitches.
2-2 delivery, and he takes 3 and 2, and we, if it is a normal night for Colon, we'll see a lot of that in this game. 3-2 counts I'm talking about.
But again, the guy has that ability to make that quality pitch when he needs to.
He's got a 3 and 2 here and is going to slow it down for a moment. This is what we talked about earlier, talking with Sandy Alomar, who's not catching tonight, but he was saying one of the things when you do catch Bartolo Colon is at times you've got to get him to slow down, keep that rhythm under control. 3-2 delivery, and he got him outside corner strike. He wins that battle.
Exactly right, Gary. And a couple 2-seam fastballs, and then he comes 3-2 count, 4-seam fastball on the outside corner, just centers Einar Diaz's mitt. Strike 3. Frankie Menachino looking, no chance to pull the trigger.
He wanted to take a walk to first base, not going to get it. 154 strikeouts in 133 innings now for Bartolo Colon, and Menachino's down even though he got him 3-2. Terrence Long is having a tremendous season for this ball club. Long has been one of their steady, consistent players all year. 13 homers, 51 RBIs. He has 35 walks on the year. Colon to the left-hander. It's a base hit into right field. So Long is on. Ramirez up with it, and a 1-out single for the first hit of the game goes to Long.
Terrence Long has been nursing some sore ribs. Here's the guy that has come over in a big trade and produced right off the bat. They say his athletic ability is unlimited, Gary. Steps into the box, smokes that one to right field. He's, like I said, the sore ribs, but again, he's made some diving plays in the outfield. The last couple games have saved the A's a lot of run, playing with a lot of heart while injured.
He's had 2 great catches against the Indians in the last week. Indians winning the ball game last night 14-6, now have a 4-game win streak going. And Oakland, as we said, just 1 win and 6 on the road, have lost their last 2. Tejada at the plate, and Colon with a quick throw over, and Long may have been leaning the other way. He had to go diving back in. He's only had a couple of stolen bases this year. Einar Diaz, working behind the plate, has thrown out 33% of base stealers in his chances behind the plate, sharing the duties He's a converted infielder who's had to go behind the plate, former catcher Mike McFarland.
Well, I tell you what, the kid comes up. Pat Borders was established as the backup among Sandy Alomar, and both of them went down, and Einar Diaz came in and did a phenomenal job and has earned his way onto being a part-time starter on this ball club, and again possesses that outstanding throwing arm.
That's an amazing move when you take an infielder or any other position player who does not have experience as a catcher and move them into that position. To one, call the game, and two, to be able to throw out base stealers, keep a game under control in that regard, and he's been able to do it.
And to work a veteran staff.
Yeah.
This kid came up right in the pennant race and established the fact that he learned quick, asked a lot of questions of Sandy Alomar. Sandy was willing to give the information and has excelled.
Long at first base, and that one is ripped foul as he got out in front of it, and will take the count to 2 balls and 1 strike. Long headed back to first base.
Well, Terrence Long, you said earlier, only with 2 stolen bases. Normally in this spot, Jason Giambi would be hitting, and that's one thing you don't want to do, is take any RBI opportunity. Jason Giambi's in RBI situation when he comes to the plate, and that's part of the reason of the Oakland A's don't steal that many bases, because they do count on the home run so much.
Jason Giambi is not in the lineup tonight. He's had a couple of problems. It's the left shoulder that's bothering him right now. Left hamstring has bothered him all year. So his left side's fall apart on him, and not funny at this point for he or the A's. Breaking ball and a strike called. We'll make it 2-2.
You're up there looking fastball, fastball, fastball. Here's a good sign for Indians fans. Bartolo Colon with the ability to throw that breaking ball behind in the count for a strike. Big key for his success.
You saw how he falls off the mound on that first base side. Just keep that in mind at some point in the game. You may get someone trying to lay down a bunt for a base hit on him. That's going to be a base hit into left field. Boy, that was right in the wheelhouse. And Tejada hit it hard. 2 on and 1 down. That's one of those hit me pitches, Mike.
Exactly right, especially for a 2-strike pitch after throwing a beautiful one. Fastball is about belt high right down the middle. Miguel Tejada does not change his approach, whether it's 2-0 or 0-2. Still tries to center the ball, obviously, and drive it into a gap. Tell you what, I love that young man. There's a guy that comes over and just takes ground balls each and every day for at least an hour during infield, extra balls. You've seen him make fantastic plays on defense the entire season and having a phenomenal offensive year as well.
Many believe he may be the MVP of this ball club.
Right now, you'd have to think so.
So a couple on, only 1 away. And the designated hitter, Ben Greaves, stands in, adding .328 over his last 20 games. Greaves in this hole for RBIs and takes the pitch away for a ball. See the .291 average, 23 homers and 85 runs batted in. A very fine year. Greaves in there as the designated hitter in the ball game tonight. Only 1 for his last 9 in the short term. And that one drilled into the right field corner, and that's going to fall in and roll to the wall. Long is coming around to score. Tejada makes the turn and will be held up as Ramirez got the relay throw in. An RBI double for Greaves. And an early 1-0 lead. That'll be RBI number 86 for the designated hitter. And Bartolo Colon, 3 consecutive hitters on base.
Gets behind in the count. Has to come into Ben Greaves. Staying aggressive. When they get in those hitter counts, here's what the Oakland A's do so well. Fastball. Smokes it down the right field line over Manny Ramirez. Look at that load. Tell you, Gary, left-handed hitters. Beautiful swings. Stays through the ball, effortless, and the ball just explodes off the bat.
Bartolo Colon is going to be a little concerned because he's coming off a couple of bad outings, actually. 4 2/3 innings pitched in the last game against Seattle, where he had an early 4-run lead in the ball game, couldn't hang on to it and didn't last. And then that's the worst outing that he has had. So you have one of those. You want to get back in and start pitching again and pitch well. That's not happened here as he faces Mike Stanley. Stanley's got 2 in scoring position with only 1 away. He's had a couple of home runs lifetime off Bartolo Colon. He continues to work out of the stretch. Got it in and fouled it back. just wants to have a decent inning right now, and that's going to be tough to do with 2 in scoring position, middle of the order up, and only 1 out.
With Matt Stairs on deck, a struggling Matt Stairs the entire season, but still lethal at any time.
There is Stairs in the lineup. We mentioned one of the Giambis who's out, Jason. Well, Jeremy Giambi went on the DL yesterday, strained rib muscles, so both of the Giambis not playing. One on the DL, one just out of the lineup. Breaking ball, he bent that one hard, but it missed outside. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Cleveland fans finally having something to cheer about after what's been a relatively disappointing season for a ball club that's used to going to the postseason automatically. The Indians this year, it's not going to be automatic, but they got a real shot. Half game up in the wild card race. 1-2 delivery. Breaking ball again. Did he go? A check at first? No, he did not. Rod Drake at first base, helping the home plate umpire Gary Cederstrom.
You know, throughout the last couple of years, everything has been so easy for this Cleveland Indians team walking into the postseason, having it clinched halfway through the year. Maybe a little adversity is what this team needs to get them over the hump in the postseason. Learn how to battle through the problems, battle through the injuries, become a cohesive unit and a good ball club, which they are. But now they're starting to play with a little bit of fire and emotion, something you didn't see early on in the season.
Just kind of taken for granted they were going to get there. Bartolo Colon waiting here on a 2-2 count on Mike Stanley. Runners at second and third. And the breaking ball again on the inside corner. No argument there. Stanley was walking away before Gary Cederstrom had even rung him up. Couple of Ks.
Boy, you have to gear for the fastball. Bartolo Colon throws the slider. This one kind of backs up, stays on the inner half, something you don't expect with the breaking ball. Your eyes adjust out over the plate. You saw Mike Stanley go to get it. The old backup slider.
So he's got 2 Ks, but he's had to throw a lot of pitches to get there. Both of the strikeouts have come on called third strikes. They're going to walk Stairs, give him an intentional pass. How about this? They are giving an intentional pass to the man who has the lowest batting average in the league. Matt Stairs has dropped to 215, the lowest number in the American League. He's had only 1 hit in his last 15 at bats on over a 4-game stretch. And you talk about going by that world-renowned book. Here's one.
Well, I don't argue with that situation. You have a rookie batter and Adam Pyatt coming up. Going to be a good player, but not the player and veteran that Matt Stairs is. Sure, Matt Stairs is struggling, but he still has the ability to pop a 3-run homer on you real quick. Take your chances going up against Adam Pyatt, someone that you haven't seen before.
So we got him loaded up here as Long had a single. Tejada had a single. Then the double by Grieve, bringing home Long, and now you got Stairs at first in the intentional pass. So a tough first inning with a couple of strikeouts mixed in. Now the bases are loaded and 2 down. And Adam Pyatt will get the opportunity to do some real damage here in the first off Bartolo Colon. Pyatt takes the first pitch on the outside corner for a strike. Pyatt has had sensational numbers when he's had RBI chances. He's hit the ball well and hard at a .357 clip with runners in scoring position. That one hit in the air to left field. He got all of that one at the warning track looking. That's going to take a bounce off the wall. Tejada will score, and down to second with a sliding double. Adam Pyatt continues his tremendous season of hitting when it matters. 2 RBIs and a 3-0 lead for the A's.
One thing as a catcher you learn in a hurry. Young hitters never come off a fastball. They don't know any better yet. Adam Pyatt looking fastball the entire at bat, gets this one and does some damage with it. Nice swing off the board. That's how you make them pay. Intentionally walk someone in front of you, in front of me, I'll get you.
Boy, that strategy backfired in a hurry right there. A 3-0 lead, 3 runs on 4 hits off Bartolo Colon. And Adam Pyatt with a big 2-out bases loaded whack off Colon got the big hit they needed. Still 2 in scoring position. Eric Chavez up. This is the 8th man in the order. He's already thrown 27 pitches in the first inning.
Well, that's their game plan, but what the A's have done is centered the ball, and the balls have found holes. Colon has been up in the strike zone with that fastball, and they're hammering it.
That'll get him off the plate way down low, and a 2-0 count. So Bartolo Colon in trouble here in the first inning. He is 5-2 with a 4.5 earned run average in 9 starts here at the Jake this year. Last year, 9-2 at home. This has been a very comfortable ballpark for him to pitch in. It's not right now. And Chavez looking to add to his 61 RBIs. Takes the fastball for a strike, making him throw. And it's a 2-ball 1-strike count. This A's team, when they get a chance to score runs, they score. They have some outstanding clutch hitters. It's been the very nature of their offense. Chavez is one of them, hitting .293, .357 out of Pyatt. They've got 4 guys in the lineup who hit over 300 with runners in scoring position. That one, though, popped up shallow left field. Vizquel, the shortstop, will go back and put it away. But a good inning. 3 runs on 4 hits in the first inning. Adam Pyatt with the bases loaded double and a couple of those ribbies. Charlie Manuel's Cleveland Indians, August 1, 52-50, 4.5 games behind the A's. In August, they've gone 13-6. They're a half game ahead in the wild card. First season manager finally able to smile a little bit about what's going on the field and off. Here's the lineup for the Cleveland Indians. Kenny Lofton leads it off. Omar Vizquel at short. Roberto Alomar hitting in the number 3 spot. Then Manny Ramirez in right field. He goes, they go. Jim Thome, David Segui, Travis Fireman, Will Cordero, Einer Diaz, and Bartolo Colon. Fryman in August. One of the reasons they've been hot, he has been sizzling with a .397 August average.
He certainly has, and I think some of this resurgence can go back to Kenny Lofton as well. Tim Hudson on the mound again. Good young arm. Fastball with a little sinking action, a forkball and a changeup. He'll throw his forkball for the strikeout, his changeup to get over when he's behind in the count. Struggle we had all last year with him, and sometimes this year is forcing him to use his fastball a little bit more. A guy that depends on swings and misses and some guys to chase. Going into the defense, Mike Stanley at first base, that veteran pickup. Eric Chavez at third, Miguel Tejada. Again, one of those superstars that can do it all. Costly mistakes have been killing the A's. Gil Heredia, one of the most prepared and organized guys, slips up, throws the ball over to first base. One of those silly mistakes that cost the A's the game last night. Cost them a lot of runs. Most errors in the major leagues.
Boy, that is amazing. And the team of the most agers battling for a postseason position. As we noted, against the Indians, committed the fewest.
Again, but you cannot give a team like the Cleveland Indians, especially when they're playing well, those extra outs.
Lofton is up. Chavez is in. Third baseman, about 3 steps in on the grass and turned a bit towards first, guarding the line as Kenny Lofton. A lot of infield hits, and those are generally bunts.
And he will still drop the ball down, even with the third baseman playing in.
Goes after that one to center field and got pretty good wood on it, but it's a long ride out there. 405 to dead center. Long's got that one. Lofton's retired, and Bill Peto's got something for us. William.
All right, Gary, as Coors takes us to Detroit, and they are bugging out at Comerica Park. Edgar Martinez calls timeout. What do we have? Well, look at this shot as they had to delay play for a couple of moments as the fans from the lower deck got out of there. Look at that.
Right behind home plate.
An invasion. Zip, zip right now at the top of the second.
Keep the studio doors closed. Oh, my.
They had some bugs out here last night as well. Chuck Finley was trying to fan them. Batters were getting them in their mouth.
It's that time of year. Whatever that means. Here's Omar Vizquel, the veteran shortstop, with 1 down, nobody on. And Chavez will stay in again on the grass against another guy who gets infield hits. And Hudson gets the strike on the outside corner to him. Vizquel, what Hudson wants to do right here is shut it down right now in the first inning. and make Cleveland think about that 3-0 A's lead without giving them a chance to start nicking away.
Why Tim Hudson, when he is effective, he has the ability to do that. Come out and throw the 0 up after your team puts a crooked number on the board.
He also 25 years old, 11-2 last year for Hudson. And that's a fastball in the inside corner. He got him looking. Whatever Vizquel thought was coming, it didn't. 2 down.
Establishing his fastball tonight, Huddy, with the little 2-seam fastball. Obviously looking for something else. Omar, middle of the plate. Tim Hudson usually goes for that forkball in that type of situation, but with a 3-run lead, you're aggressive, throwing strikes. Get through as many hitters with your fastball as you can. Save your good stuff for later.
So Hudson's got 2 quick outs here, and that brings up Alomar, Roberto Alomar. 14 homers, 52 RBIs. The on-base percentage for the Indians, one of the reasons that they have struggled a bit this year. They have not had the on-base percentages from the top of the order, Lofton, Vizquel, and Alomar, that they've had in previous years. And that has resulted in a drop, obviously, in runs, almost a run less per game than what they had in their record-breaking season last year. That one to left field. Adam Pyatt is there. He's got it. Well, how about that? It took Hudson 11 pitches to retire. The side didn't give up a thing. Bartolo Colon had to throw 30 and gave up 3. And the A's with a 3-0 lead as we go to the second inning. See whether or not Bartolo Colon can settle down a little bit here. He picked up a couple of strikeouts in that first inning, but key hits for Oakland came when they needed them. Ramon Hernandez, the only man who did not come to the plate, the catcher for the A's, will lead it off here, then back to the top of the order. Left center field, Lofton will drift over under this one and puts it away. Frank Menachino, top of the order, struck out his first time up, one of the 2 called strikeouts in the first inning. Here's a look at Cleveland, where actually had some tornado warnings south of the city late this afternoon. So some of those dark thunderstorm clouds drifting on by here. 76 degrees at the first pitch time tonight here in Cleveland.
Well,
and down low for a ball.
Trying to get to Bartolo Colon, you got to get to him early. The first inning ERA is almost 6. He's the type of guy, you get to him early, get a couple runs on the board, but he tends to settle down and be very effective late in the game, but still working that pitch count.
Amazing how many of the great pitchers are like that. Maddox, who won a ball game today, historically, the first inning, he's tried to figure out how to come in differently, warm up longer, more, yeah.
Try and change things around.
First inning remains a problem for many starting pitchers. Tommy Glavine has been one of those who struggled throughout his career with a high first inning ERA. You don't know. I mean, they've tried to put themselves to face the game as though they're in the 3rd inning or 2nd inning and say, all right, we're coming on, it's the 2nd inning and start now.
Well, it's got a different feel out on the mound. You're not, you know, in the little cubby hole of the bullpen. The mound is different. Those guys that are such location pitchers, those things can wear on you.
This one to short. Vizquel's got it. Over to David Segui. 2 away in the 2nd inning. Want to remind you, coming up after our ball game here in Cleveland tonight on ESPN, you'll see the New York Mets and the San Diego Padres talking about the playoffs. The Mets in a battle to catch Atlanta. Atlanta won today and/or the wild card spot. You'll see that one with the Mets starting the day 2.5 behind the Braves in the East and 3.5 ahead of Arizona in the wild card. Al Leiter, Matt Clement are the scheduled starters. Some of you are going to see the Brewer Diamondbacks game after hours. And that one ripped to right field is going to fall in for a base hit. Long's 2 for 2. My, oh my. He's something, isn't he?
Little breaking ball the first time up. This time fastball. I'm not going to wait around. 2 outs. Why not? Try and get something started. First pitch fastball. Another smooth swing. Look at him finish high through the zone. They're very high on this young man, and rightfully so.
He's going to get some Rookie of the Year considerations. He made 106, 17 hits now. He started the day 2nd in hits for rookies in the American League and up in all the rookie offensive categories. He's on at first base. Second hit of the game. It comes with 2 down here in the second inning. Second hit of the game for him. And the pitch is taken for a strike on the outside corner by Miguel Tejada. Tejada delivered a single, scored 1 of the runs in the first. He's now 6 for 14 lifetime off Bartolo Colon. Tejada trying to get it going again at a 190 average over the last 5 games. But overall, he's just been sensational with that 276 number and the 86 RBIs that he's picked up.
Even during the struggles offensively lately, just been stellar on defense. Last year, he's a rookie, had the tendency to take his at-bats to the field with him, and a routine ground ball he would boot, concentrating on his last at-bat. Has not done that this year.
The 1 pitch to him is down low for a ball. Bartolo Colon continues to throw over on long, even though, as we said the first time up, he's had only a couple of stolen bases, but he's drawn their attention over there because he's gotten a fairly decent lead. And that call, of course, comes from the dugout. And our Diaz gets the sign as to whether or not they want to step off or throw over, as virtually all major league teams do now. Colon gets it from his catcher. 1-1 delivery. Towering pop-up, third base side. Fryman will put it away. No runs, base hit, and 1 left on. One of the game's truly outstanding hitters. Manny Ramirez coming up. 3-0 lead for the A's. Gary Thorne, Mike McFarland, and our crew here in Cleveland. And there is Manny Ramirez making his way to the plate to kick it off. Said one of the game's really outstanding hitters. And Manny Ramirez, through consistency and the numbers that he's put up, has evidenced the fact when you talk about hitters, you better include him.
Best RBI run producing machine.
2 for 3 with a home run in the ball game last night. Takes a strike on the outside corner from Tim Hudson. Ramirez has a 6-game hit streak going in which he's gone 9 for 18.
Yeah, he's in one of those streaks where he's very comfortable at the plate. Hit a ball down in the zone off the pole last night.
Hudson being careful, staying away with it. That gets a 2-strike count on him. Jim Thome and David Segui due up against the 25-year-old right-hander here in the bottom half of the second inning. And it's Ramirez who's going to make Hudson wait a little bit as he stepped out on him. Foul tipped. Last night the home run looked like this.
Sounded like that. Another guy with an effortless swing. The ball just explodes.
He will take the ball to any part of the field. One of the reasons that he is such an outstanding hitter.
With authority.
With authority. Yep, absolutely. Very tough to pitch against, because he is never going to try and overpower the pitch. Little cat and mouse going on here now. Hudson waits a little longer because Ramirez backed out on him before the last pitch. Oh-2 delivery to him. Broken bat. Splintered that one and caught. Great play at second base as Menachino went out and timed it perfectly. Looked like that was going to fall in. It shattered the bat and didn't have enough to get the center.
What a great read and a great jump by Frankie Menachino. Jam shot 0-2, expanding the strike zone. Ball runs in hard on Manny Ramirez. Then watch Frankie Menachino playing deep as is. Great time and jump. Frankie's not exactly a guy you'd put in a key in a basketball game, but he caught up on that one.
All right, now Hudson will take him at second base. Never mind the basketball. Robbed of a base hit. Jim Thome. Thome continuing with the power numbers. 126 strikeouts and 87 walks. Thome rips that one to center field. Long looking, way back, and goodbye home run. Jim Thome, 3-1. Indians on the board.
Well, first ball up in the zone from Tim Hudson, a soft one. Looks like the changeup, middle. And Jim Thome just does not miss those balls. See Ramon Hernandez setting up on the outside corner. That ball kind of stayed middle in.
31 home runs will move him into a tie for 7th in the American League in the home run derby. And here we go with David Segui getting knocked down after the home run. There was a little tay-to-tay that took place last night. Little beanballing. This may be a continuation.
Well, we talked about Tim Hudson being a gamer. He doesn't like the fact that he just got taken deep 500 feet to dead center field. Wants to make them lose their feet a little bit in the batter's box. Feel a little uncomfortable. Good old country hardball.
David Segui, and Segui a ground ball down to first. Stanley will make the flip to Hudson covering for the out. Let's take a look here as they go by each other with a couple of words. Let's check in with Bill Pito. Bill.
Gary, thank you. As Coors takes us to Toronto, the Blue Jays coming in 2.5 games behind the Indians in the wild card race, taking on the Royals. This is Greg Zahn driving in Todd Dunwoody. And right now from Skydome, it is 2-2 in the bottom of the second.
And more postseason appearances resting on that ball game as Toronto trying to pick the pace up here in the second half again. Here's Travis Fryman. Fryman takes it inside for a ball. 6-game hit streak that he continued last night with a 3-hit ball game. 2 down, a run in, 3-1. The A's on top. One of the leaders of this Cleveland team on and off the field, Travis Fryman. And a pitch taken down low. This is one intense baseball player right here.
This is very quiet, unassuming, goes out, professional at-bats, night in and night out, solid defensively at third, very underrated around the outside the game, very well respected among his peers in the game.
2-1 strike count. I asked Charlie Manuel before the game. I said, tell me your leaders. Tell me the guys on and off who you count on to get things done out there. And he said, Fryman. He's looking out at his players during batting practice, looking around. He, because he wanted to give credit where it was due. He said, Fryman,
Bueller,
and Sandy Alomar.
Oh, you got to throw a catcher in there.
Absolutely. So those two guys. We've got others. We got Vizquel, Lofton, who in their own way lead, but these two are a core in this club, the leadership.
Hold on, baby. You're in for
2-2.
Well, forkball just missed somewhere.
3-ball, 2-strike count.
Come on, baby.
Hudson's got that sinking fastball, splitter forkball, slider, changeup, a pronounced ground ball pitcher. When he's on, there'll be a lot of ground balls because it's a hard sinking fastball. 3-2 delivery and swung on and missed. Did he change up on that one? Well, Jim Thome delivered the home run, his 31st, number 227 in his career, now second all-time on the Indians home run list.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Nike.
At the Jacobs Field here in Cleveland, Gary Thorne, Mike McFarland, and our cast of characters with the A's, a 3-1 lead over the Indians, trying to get out of their 2-game losing streak. Bartolo Colon rips one up high. Hello. Well, last night, this may be coming from what went on last night as Grieve backs out of there.
Last night, Eric Burns, a young rookie, coming up, stealing the bases, playing hard and aggressive. Jeff Tam throwing behind Sandy Alomar, not once, but twice.
Oh, all the way to the backstop. Here's the warning. So each team has now been warned by Gary Cederstrom. He believes that was intentionally throwing at. Segui is talking to the dugout of the A's. David Segui is heading to the dugout. Segui wants to go with somebody. First base umpire Rob Drake steps in between them. Segui's the man who got thrown at in the last half inning, and as soon as the warning went out, Segui started over towards the Cleveland dugout talking. Both of the bullpens are now in. That brings on the characters involved in last night's incident once you get the bullpens out there.
Sure you do. You get everybody around there and a little pushing and shoving. But again, Bartolo Colon coming upstairs with the fastball Ed ahead. Awfully dangerous in that position. But still, last night, Steve Reed taking offense to Eric Burns' hustling style, which I can't understand. Comes up there looking in his dugout, hits the kid the first time. All right, so that's done with. Jeff Tam misses twice. Let it be over with. Let it be done. Now you got Bartolo Colon throwing 95, 96 miles an hour up at someone's head. Sure, David Segui has a right to be upset, getting thrown up and in. Let it be done at this. Let's play baseball.
You can tell the playoffs are getting close, and these teams are both close to getting to the playoffs, so neither is willing to give an inch. So last night is carried over into this game, and Grieve watched one that was high and tight, and the other one that was just high and over his head
and everywhere.
And David Segui clearly not happy about what happened when he felt they were throwing at him in the last half inning. Boy, once that pitch went to the backstop and the warning was given, Segui immediately turned towards the Oakland dugout, and he's still talking to him.
Yeah, he is. He's still staring in the dugout. Just let the situation die down. Let's get back to playing baseball.
Now, obviously, with a warning being given, if either pitcher hits anybody, they're automatically gone. There's an automatic fine. The manager's gone. That's what happens after the warning is given, and Gary Cederstrom has done that to both sides.
Now you get, you take away the sinking fastball from Tim Hudson. Here's Segui last inning after a Jim Thome home run, fastball up and in, knocking David Segui down. All right, now let's go. Okay, tit for tat there. Fine. It should be done right now. Bartolo Colon pushes it one more. That's right over his head.
Now all Greaves got to do is get back in. And he does, and takes it down the left field line, not deep. Cordero coming over will make the play.
Well, that kind of livened the crowd up a little bit. And again, that game's in the doldrums. It works for the Oakland A's. Hey, we're not going to take anything from anybody. Here it is. Our pitcher's just trying to be aggressive, move some feet. David Segui, his pitcher's stepping up and protecting him. Bartolo Colon, not once but twice, protecting David Segui. It's baseball.
And now that they've got the warnings, neither wants to lose a player here. So Hudson has got to play it straight, and both managers want their starters in the game. These are their aces. And a strike on the inside corner to Stanley, was called out on strikes his first time up.
Well, now you got a situation where you can't screw around on the inside corner and miss inside in case you hit the guy, because the ground rules have been laid. You hit somebody, you're out of the ball game.
Even if it's a mistake. Stanley has had 9 starts now at first base and 5 as a designated hitter for Mike Stanley. Added on here, signed by the A's August 4 after he was released by Boston. And the veteran has gotten some playing time, a little more than expected, because of the injuries that the A's have suffered through here of late. Giambi brothers, 2 of them. And down low with it, a 3-ball 1-strike count on Mike Stanley. This may be a pickup that's going to matter more than was anticipated when it took place the 1st of August.
Well, you have a solid professional baseball player.
And he wants him.
Yeah, that helps the cause in the clubhouse as well.
Let's check in again with Bill Pito. Bill.
All right, Gary, the Yankees and the Rangers. Roger Clemens on the hill has been great.
That's hit well to left.
But here, Bill Hasselman, a swing and a drive over the wall and gone. 3-3 in the top of the second. Meanwhile, in Detroit, it's Edgar Martinez for the Mariners against the Nomo, and there that one goes. So it's now 3-0 in favor of Seattle, top of the 3rd.
Seattle, another one of the teams looking to the postseason. And obviously, every game now having meaning as the scoreboard watching begins in earnest for the year 2000. Matt Stairs intentionally walked his first time up, and it backfired. Adam Pyatt came up and delivered a bases loaded double. There he is, waiting on deck. They're not going to walk stairs here. Runner at first base and one away. And Matt takes it outside. He is 2 for 10 with a home run lifetime off Bartolo Colon.
I'm wondering if maybe those purpose pitches are starting to take something away from Bartolo Colon. Thrown 4 straight balls.
Not close.
Not close.
May come back. The retaliation may come back to haunt him. 2-0 count with one away. Breaking ball swung on and missed by Stairs. Big cut 2-1. Took something off that pitch on a 2-0 count.
A little breaking ball. That's the slider that he's been throwing. This one up in his zone. Matt Stairs, front shoulder, pulling off just a bit. Something that's been a problem for him the entire season.
25-year-old right-hander with Stanley at first. Stanley's not even being held. He ought to steal just because of that. David Segui, if he could, he would.
Yeah, exactly.
David Segui's playing behind him here with one out, a left-handed hitter up. They don't think Mike's going to run. Which is a pretty good guess. Yeah. 3-1 delivery, fastball, and he missed and walked him. So 2 walks back-to-back after the Grieve throw him at him incident. Puts runners at first and second with one away, and Einar Diaz goes out to try and quiet down his pitcher.
Good job by Einar. Exactly the right time to do it. Still in a ground ball situation where a ground ball gets the double play, gets you out of the inning, but you need to go out there, calm Bartolo down, say, let's get back to the game we had in the second inning. Throwing strikes, expanding the strike zone.
Well, let's see if he can add to his numbers. Adam Pyatt coming up there, having delivered that bases loaded double in his first at bat. Appearing in his 33rd game. Now with 17 RBIs. And getting another start again because of injuries. And taking advantage of it. Takes a strike.
All right, let's see if he changes his operation this time. Threw him a breaking ball his first time up to Adam Pyatt. Second pitch came with a fastball, and Adam smoked it off the left field wall.
Diaz calling the game for Bartolo Colon. Runners off first and second with one out. 0-1 delivery, and there's that breaking ball again, and he really fooled him.
Again, yeah, stick with the game plan. The guy shows you he doesn't want to really stay in there with the breaking ball. You keep pounding it until he shows you otherwise. But Adam Pyatt has driven in runs everywhere he's played. A Triple Crown winner in Double-A. Swinging the bat extremely well in Triple-A. Forced the hand, bringing him up to the major leagues and doing the job.
Multi-signs here with a runner at second base. 2-strike count. Fastball laid on it. Fouled down the line and right, will end up in the seats. And remains 2 strikes. Adam Pyatt, the recall when he was brought back up from the minors, came on July 13. He was at Triple-A and is hitting well over 300. First major league appearances in the outfield have come this year as Art Howe has had to find some fill-in people who can bring a bat to the plate, and Adam Pyatt has been one of those people.
Up and down the minor leagues in the Oakland A's organization, they are stacked with hitters, good young arms. This is going to be a team that needs to be reckoned with in the years to come. They are loaded in the minor leagues.
The Beanie Babies.
Good one. I like that.
Billy Beans, the GM, and a strike on the outside corner.
99 miles an hour.
Well, he's had 3 strikeouts, and they've all been called.
Let's watch Bartolo's sequences on here on Adam Pyatt. First time breaking ball again. 1-1, another breaking ball outside corner. You give the breaking ball in his head, but now he shows that he's late on the fastball, and then 99 miles an hour on the outside corner. Outstanding sequencing by Einar Diaz and Bartolo Colon, doing exactly what the hitter showed you.
So now there are 2 down, still at first and second. And Eric Chavez up. He goes after the heater and misses. He is bringing it down.
He has elevated his fastball, so to speak.
Man, a couple of walks in the inning have given Oakland the chance. Stanley got one of them, and Stayers got the other. Let's see whether or not Eric Chavez, who popped out his first time up, can do anything with it against Bartolo Colon. 0-1 delivery. Another heater and a towering fly ball to center. Lofton has it lined up and puts it away. No runs, no hits, and 2 are left on base, 1 in scoring position. It remains a 3-1 A's lead.
ESPN Sports Center update.
Great to have you with us, everybody. The A's, with 3 runs in the first inning, have the lead. 3-5-0 for Oakland. 1-1 for the Indians on the Jim Thome home run, his 31st of the year. Tim Hudson, the 25-year-old right-hander, looking for his 14th win of the year against 5 losses. Cordero and our Diaz, and then the top of the order, Lofton, due up here for Cleveland in the bottom of the 3rd. Cordero, a couple of hits and 4 at-bats last night. Modest 3-game hit streak going for the Pittsburgh Pirate earlier this year. Chops that one to short. Hada's got it. A little problem getting it out of the glove, but makes the play, and Cordero's retired. He can play short, can't he?
He sure can. I tell you what, he had a defensive game against the New York Yankees the other day. His dad recently came to town, traveling with the A's a little bit, seeing his son play in the major leagues for the first time, and Miggy has just been putting on a clinic defensively, diving all over the place, unbelievable throws, blind, you name it, he has done it.
How much fun that's going to be. Have your dad on hand, first time major league level.
Unbelievable.
Oh my. Yeah. And Diaz on the breaking ball, does not get it. Batting 9th in the order, 0 for 3 in the ball game last night. This is the converted 3rd baseman who's working behind the plate. Sandy Alomar Jr. not able to catch every day now and is rested, so they share the duties catching wise. Diaz, 27 years old, out of Panama, fouls that one back, and a 2-strike count on him. The international aspect of the Major League Baseball just continues to grow with the number of players born outside the United States, even North America, continuing to increase and bring their talent to this game. And Major League Baseball is going out to their home countries now. Regular season games in Japan. Next year, there's discussion, serious discussion about probably going to the Caribbean.
Exactly.
Regular season games, maybe the start of the year.
Might be some teams fighting for that game.
Yeah, you're right.
There were some brain dead individuals coming back from Japan.
Swung on and missed. And that is the strikeout, the 3rd for Hudson. 2 down here in the 3rd inning.
Here's some of Miguel Tejada's plays. Bare hand. Look, the thing that amazes me is the arm of Miguel Tejada from all over, any range. Look at a little backhanded blind flip. Frankie Menachino, Randy Velarde at second base. Here's another play. Look at that, on a fly, wheel and deal. Diving play. Flipped to Menachino at second base, and I tell you, that's the look that Miggy gives when he's satisfied with himself.
He should be. 55 double plays started, the most among major league shortstops. One of the things that fairly means is he gets to some baseballs.
And absolutely loves the game of baseball.
2 down, nobody on. Lofton flied out his first time up. 2nd in the league in infield hits, along with Omar Vizquel. So the Cleveland Indians have 2 guys at the very top in the American League who generate infield hits with their great speed and ability to bunt, as well as leg out slow ground balls.
Robbie Alomar, similar. Get on, let him drive in. Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome. That's the Indians machine.
1-1, way up high and away. 2-1. 4 home runs in 3 games against Seattle this past weekend for Kenny Lofton. Not someone noted for the long ball, but he can get them. A chopper foul outside of first. In fact, he's had 1 hit in 5 at-bats off Hudson, and that was a home run.
He has been a catalyst here lately for this team. Been getting on, stealing bases, opening up holes for Vizquel and Alomar when they're at bat. He creates space in the field, not only on the infield, but in the outfield. Sometimes they'll show the gaps, and he'll drive one in the gap, be on third base. knows how to create runs, Kenny Lofton.
2-ball, 2-strike count on him with 2 down and the base is empty. Hudson with a 2-2, and he gets the chopper to second base. And Aquino up with it, and that will do it. Good inning for Hudson, who retires the side in order. We've completed 3 at the Jake, and the A's have a 3-1 lead. Great to have you with us here at the Jake in Cleveland, with the A's leading it by a score of 3-1. And we go to the top half of the 4th inning. Ramon Hernandez flying out his first time up, the 24-year-old catcher out of Caracas, Venezuela. Bartolo Colon, and the pitch is a strike. Colon has walked 3, 1 intentional, has struck out 3. And has thrown a lot of pitches, given up to 3 runs and 5 hits and 61 pitches thrown. Off the end of the bat, Segui. Bartolo Colon over to cover, gets there. Hernandez is retired, 1 away in the 4th inning. Sunday Night Baseball, these Cleveland Indians will be right back at you on ESPN. They'll be on the West Coast to take on the Anaheim Angels. Both of these teams looking for those wins to make it in a wild card race. Anaheim enters tonight 2.5 behind, and of course the Cleveland Indians a half game up in the American League. So it's important. You'll see it Sunday, 8 o'clock Eastern. Sunday Night Baseball. Go back to the top of the order. Frank Aquino has struck out and grounded out. 2 at bats already, and we're only in the 4th inning after 8 came to the plate in the first. Off Bartolo Colon, who gave up the 3 runs and 4 hits in the first inning. That's a ball that bounced in the dirt.
That's called looking fastball and swinging. I'm going to hammer this first pitch that he throws me. Frankie Menachino filling in for the Randy Velarde with a stiff neck. Hurt his neck on a dive. There he is. Talk about a gamer and a solid player. Really solidifies the middle infield for this Oakland A's team. Leader that came over from the Anaheim Angels last year during our pennant race. Did an outstanding job for us, both in the clubhouse, and there's you know, talk about Jason Giambi being a leader. Randy Velarde just as much.
6th game now that he has missed with the neck spasms. So Menachino's had 6 starts in a row and has had 4 hits and 21 at-bats in those starts at second base. 1-ball, 2-strike count on him. Bartolo Colon has been working that breaking ball and the changeup. Bounces another one, says you went once, I'll try it again.
Almost got him.
He thought about it.
But again, now might be the time for Bartolo Colon to throw that 4-seam fastball in the outside corner. Have that breaking ball in his mind, but here comes the age-old question. He's shown me that he's chased 1 breaking ball. Will he chase another one? I tried it last pitch. 2-2 count as a catcher. I'm thinking, here's the ball, here's the pitch. I need to have this guy either put in play or strike out on. Got to go with a fastball.
Catcher's called it.
Not saying I'm right.
We'll see if you get it. On a 2-2. He waits with bated breath, and he got it. 4 strikeouts for Bartolo Colon.
Here's that 4-seam fastball. Just 96 miles an hour. No chance. You just can't pull the trigger on that. That's outside corner, off the plate a little bit.
You know you've got hitters off balance when your strikeouts are called third strikes. All 4 have been called third strikes. That's because he's able to set them up with that off-speed breaking ball we've seen. Terrence Long already at 2 for 2. Getting a chance at Bartolo Colon for the first time. We'll take that one away. And a 2-0 count.
Terrence Long, you talked about Rookie of the Year honors, most definitely deserves some votes. Another kid, Mark Quinn from Kansas City. Home runs, RBIs, playing solid left field. Benji Molina down in Anaheim. Catcher. Got to get the catcher in.
I knew you'd name one.
Okay.
I was counting on you. Broken bat, slow roller. Alomar off the mark, and a good stretch made by Segui. Another 1-2-3 inning. Bartolo Colon, after that first, has settled in A's up by 2. Cleveland Indians 21-14 second half of the season. They've gained 3.5 games on the Chicago White Sox, still 7 games out, but they have garnered first place in that chase for the wild card. Omar Vizquel, Roberto Alomar, and Manny Ramirez 2, 3, 4 in the order, and there's that beautiful bunt. Chavez the throw. Outstanding play. You got to make that at the major league level. It nevertheless is a very difficult play.
We talked about Lofton and Vizquel. Even with Eric Chavez playing in on the grass, they will drop it down, force the issue. See if you can make this play, Eric Chavez. And he did. I tell you what, Eric Chavez coming up last year from the minor leagues, the word on him was, well, his defense is suspect, but he's been solid defensively for 2 years now at third base. Pretty good left-handed hitter as well.
It's a beautiful bunt and a little better defensive play, what you saw right there. It is an honor to watch Omar Vizquel put a bunt down. And a strike on the inside corner to Roberto Alomar.
An honor?
An honor. There aren't many people in this game anymore who can bunt, period.
Exactly.
I mean, he bunts. If you're going to teach somebody how to bunt, you just say, here's the video.
Here's Omar Vizquel.
Here's Omar Vizquel, do this.
Kenny Lofton as well. And I'm surprised they went down third, because Kenny and Omar will take a bunt with them, and you have Mike Stanley over there at first base. Take it with you, beat the pitcher to the base. But again, the small part of baseball, the little things that those guys still do. Talked about Kenny Lofton, his ability to create holes, putting the pressure on the defense, and for a defensive team that's struggling, do those things against the A's.
Yeah, make them make mistakes. Hudson missing on that, takes it to 3-1 on Roberto Alomar, who flied out his first time up. Hudson has not walked a batter yet. 70 walks in 145 innings pitched, and won't walk one here. Tejada. And there are 2 down, and these are the ground balls we were talking about that Hudson gets off that sinker. First 3-ball count that he had to go to there, and Hudson won the battle.
Little sinker down in the zone. Robbie Alomar rolling over the top. Exactly what you expect him to do when a ball is down in the zone.
Manny Ramirez. Clarence Jones is the hitting instructor for the Cleveland Indians. Had been with the Atlanta Braves. I was talking with him tonight, and I said, who do you think is the purest hitter right now in the game? That's him. And he's got a base hit up the middle. He said, I was with Chipper Jones, and I consider Chipper Jones to be a pure natural hitter. But he said, Manny Ramirez's ability to use the entire field, to take the ball long or short, to do whatever needs to be done and adjust. I think this is the best, purest natural hitter in the game right now.
Well, when he's on a roll, especially like he is now, he has no holes. You try and pitch the guy away, off the plate in. If he's going to beat you, I'm going to make him beat me the other way. But again, he's pounded balls to right center, over the fence, right field. It doesn't matter. When he's on a roll, he can do it all.
Now, here's the potential tying run at the plate here in the 4th. Thome with the shift on. No one on the left side. I mean, no one. They have moved Chavez all the way over to almost second base.
Well, Jim Thome, dead pull hitter. In this situation, you're going to stay hard away with the sinking fastball. Try and force him to roll over, play right into your defense. Eric Chavez playing deep shortstop.
Thome, the home run number 31, his 999th hit his last time up. Chance for a couple of milestones in this game. You want to beat a shift, what do?
Well, hit one 450 feet. See Ramon Hernandez set up away, and you see him reaching back across the plate. This area there, right on the barrel of the bat, Jim Thome depositing this pitch down away if you're going to pitch into your shift. That kind of defeats the purpose, obviously, but still, right idea, missed location.
227 career home runs. Only Albert Bell has had more home runs as a Cleveland Indian than Jim Thome. Thome passes Earl Avery for second place on the Indians list, and he tried for another one right there. Manny Ramirez is right behind him with 224, and Thome with 227. So these two climbing the Indians all-time home run ladder. Bell's got 242 as an Indian. and is #1.
I think Indian fans want to see these guys overtake Albert Bell for a number of years to come. Manny Ramirez is going to be a huge buy for someone over the season, off-season.
1-2 strike delivery by Hudson, and he got him. Thome goes down swinging, the 4th strikeout for Hudson. No runs, a base hit, and 1 left on. Get a little Tejada at the plate. Trying to do something that has become difficult. They have lost 19 of their last 26 road games. That is turning into a problem. You see, through June 20, they were 24-12 on the road. Magnificent numbers. 7 runs a game, and ERA about 5. But since then, 7-19, the runs are cut in half, and the ERA has gone up by a couple. So the A's on the road for Art Howe of late, not good, and it's dropped them back to 500 on the road at 31-31. And as we said, 1-5 on this current road trip. So can they get over that hump here, at least for the night, with a victory at the Jake? Tejada's single had popped out. Leads the inning off by fouling that one back for a strike.
It boils down to pitching. A's pitchers have been struggling on the road. Tim Hudson picking it up tonight. Really impressed with the way Huddy's going at him tonight. Using his fastball effectively, setting up that forkball. Elevating his game.
What you got to do this time of year. That one is taken up high off Bartolo Colon. 1-1 strike count. What you were talking about as you look at Hudson for the starters over the last 6 games.
Well, they've been getting beaten around. They ran into a very hot Detroit Tigers team last night. Gil Heredia got beat up a little bit. Omar Olivares as well.
That one hit in the air to left center field. Loftanukin flies. Going to have to get to the wall. He's there and makes the catch. Tip your cap, Kenny Lofton.
Talk about a guy that can close the gap in a hurry. Playing dead center field. Regardless, he knows this field better than anybody. Couple steps on the track, no problem. Look, it takes a last-second glance at the wall. Feels that turf. Watch Miguel. You got to be kidding me.
Defense a thing of beauty, and that was a thing of beauty. And 1 away. 1-0 count on Grieve. Robbed of an extra base hit to Tejada. Grieve doubled in the first inning and had an RBI. Adam Pyatt had a bases loaded double for the other 2 RBIs. Those are the 3 A's runs in the first and in the game. Grieve, the designated hitter, 4 for 14 lifetime off Bartolo Colon. Down to first on the chopper. David Segui, the flip. 2 down here. Elsewhere, Bill Pito.
All right, Gary, as Midas takes us to Yankee Stadium, Roger Clemens focused. Hasn't lost since June 9th. But here, Rusty Greer cracks his 7th home run of the year. It ties the game up at 4. The Yanks have added a sac fly, now lead at 5-4. Bottom.
It's a tie ball game.
Bill, it's interesting that the Rangers said, for us, this is the World Series. We're playing these games at Yankee Stadium like it's the World Series because we're not going anywhere.
You're not going anywhere. Try and be the guy that ruins the party.
Yankees have the 3-game lead over the Red Sox and 5 over the Jays in the American League East. And a lead, as Bill said, by 1 in their ball game against the Rangers tonight. 2 down, bases empty here at the Jake, and Stanley up has drawn a walk and been called out on strikes. He's had a couple of home runs off Bartolo Colon in his career. 5 hits total, 5 for 18, and 2 of the 5 were dingers. For Stanley, who's making the start tonight at first base for the A's. 2 Giambis out of the lineup tonight. Velarde out of the lineup at second base.
Getting a big hit from Adam Pyatt tonight. Frankie Menachino, 2 hits last night.
This is where you find out the strength of your bench.
Very much so. Exactly right.
And you need it. I mean, there's no room. You don't have wiggle room in battling for postseason play at this point.
Plus, it gives you confidence as a manager further down the line. See these kids come in and produce in pressure situations.
and gives them confidence.
Exactly.
Stanley with a 2-ball 1-strike count. Colon again showing on that 2-0 count a willingness to come with something other than a fastball.
Well, I'd like to say that Mike Stanley's 2 home runs were probably on fastball. Bartolo Colon has done a great job of mixing speeds, especially against Mike Stanley, throwing him that slider in a fastball count.
After his 12th win of the year, fastball that time and will miss down low, and a 3-ball 1-strike count. 2 down, no one on.
We talked about Bartolo Colon with a 6 ERA in the first inning, really locking it in. Although he's thrown a lot of pitches, again, one of those guys, good build on him, gets stronger as the game goes along.
3-1 delivery will be foul back. He actually went on the DL this year for the first time early in the year in April. First time in his major league career, and fortunately it was just a muscle problem, not anything to do with a shoulder, throwing arm, or elbow.
And they've had enough problems with that.
This club right now, Cleveland Indians, pitching-wise, are in pretty good shape.
Get Charles Nagy back, Jarrett Wright done for the year. But if you can get Nagy back, keep Chuck Finley healthy, Colon healthy, not bad as right. Steve Woodard coming over in a trade, starting tomorrow night.
They love Bob Wickman, Jason Beret, and Steve Woodard that they picked up from the Brewers in that deal for Richie Sexton in particular and others. But talking to the players tonight, the Cleveland players, they could not say enough. They said, we get into that bullpen, we are very confident. We're deep. And he said, the guy said, are they good? He said, these guys are good. They'll come in and give you that 1 or 2 innings and just shut the opponent down. And there's the walk, the 4th. One of them's intentional, given up by Bartolo Colon.
Earlier today, talked about Charles Nagy coming back. Again, a veteran pitcher. Great action on his fastball, sinker, splitter. Playing some long toss. Coming off of elbow surgery. Not quite sure when he'll be back, but that's a great sign to see him stretching it out, playing some long toss.
Charlie Manuel would love, obviously, to have him back for the drive. Manuel says we're in good shape, and he, like all big league managers, saying team that goes to postseason, the ones that make it, they'll go with their pitching. That's what will make the difference. He said, and that's why I feel fairly confident about our chances because of where we are pitching-wise now.
Well, Jason Beret comes over in that trade and wins his first 2 games. Chuck Finley giving him solid starts, quality innings, got the win last night.
Big names.
Yes.
Matt Stairs with a runner on at first base and 2 down. And in effect, part of what Cleveland did was to say, we've got to go to the playoffs now, because they traded away some young talent, some good young talent. It's got a chance in the future to be major league stars. But Cleveland knows, you know, their fans want winners. They want postseason. So they've mortgaged a little bit of the future off in order to try and get there this year. If it works, they'll look like geniuses, and if it doesn't, they'll be blamed.
Yeah, Mike Hargrove struggling in the postseason. I mean, you get used to going there year in and year out. Well, who's going to take us to the higher level? Well, you go with Charlie Manuel, and you make some of these trades. You have Richie Sexton as an ace in the hole. Make the big deal, get some quality bullpen guys and starters.
Now you got to do it.
Now you got to do it.
And a 3-0 count. Bartolo Colon, a couple of times in this game, one after the incident of throwing at a hitter, seemed to lose his control in the 3rd inning and walked a couple. And now here with 2 down against Stanley and Stairs. Is struggling to find the strike zone, gets it there, and a 3-ball 1-strike count. And obviously Stairs was taking there, is going to make him throw a little bit.
Well, if this one's anywhere near the zone, you're going to see a very healthy Matt Stairs swing.
3-1, 2 down. Way outside, not close. 5 walks, 1 intentional. And again, as happened in the 3rd inning, they come back to back here in the 5th. And Manuel is on his way out, and this is a physical trip to the mound. They're concerned because they're bringing the trainer out, so it will not count as a visit, and all they can talk about is something about his physical condition.
Well, Colon talking over his glove, trying to hide the words of Charlie Manuel. I got to be something nagging. But again, he's been effective for the most part coming into this inning. Walked Matt Stairs 3 straight at-bats. 2 outs, 1 pitch away from the end of the inning. Trying to minimize the damage now against Adam Pyatt.
So Bartolo Colon, you have that situation happen. It's, as Mike said, something that they know about and are watching, because they jumped out. They saw something that bothered them here in these last 2 batters when he's missing the strike zone as he is.
And again, when you have a horse like Colon and he's young, you don't take any chances.
How about that? Stanley and Stairs both have 2 walks each in this game. Not guys you'd expect to be drawing free passes off Bartolo Colon.
Right.
So Pyatt gets another chance here. He delivered the 2 RBI double with the bases loaded in the first inning. Now with 2 down, gets another chance. He was called out on strikes his last time up. And a 1-0 count. Colon has 4 strikeouts. Stanley off second, Stairs off first. This is down low with it, and he's behind here 2-0.
89 pitches and laboring. Got 2 quick outs, 2 walks. Now behind in the count, and you see him taking that time. Sandy Alomar about the tempo, trying to get him up there, going a little bit quicker. Try and keep your fielders on their toes, ready to play. Dick Pohl making a phone call.
We're going to get some warm-up action here. Adam Pyatt waiting and gets it to second base. Knocked down. Alomar makes the play.
Unbelievable.
8 Gold Gloves represented by their second baseman Roberto Alomar. And if you want to know why he probably is going to get a 9th, watch this. One ball game that started out like it was going to be house of fire offense, and the 2 pitchers have settled in, Tim Hudson and Bartolo Colon, and made it a matchup of the mounds. Bottom half of the 5th inning. David Segui, Travis Fryman, Will Cordero due up for the Indians. Segui has a metal plate in his left foot. It is broken. He's going to have it operated on at the end of the year and a new plate inserted. I said, how can you have a broken plate in your foot and keep playing? He gets a base hit. Said, that's how.
Because I can still rake.
But I can still rake. That's right. We talked about the defense of the Indians overall. Best in the league.
Oh, as far as I'm concerned, look at Kenny Lofton closing the gap on a long fly ball, and then Robbie Alomar. You know, it always seems like the ball bounces up to the guy. He makes his own hops. I'm telling you, what a great read. Presence of mind to get up, strong, accurate throw. 8 times, you can just keep going up. That's going to go up year after year after year. Kenny Lofton, a healthy Kenny Lofton.
12 Gold Gloves between the 2. Not bad. So Segui's got a 12-game hit streak now as he picks up a single to lead off the 5th. He's on at first base, and Travis Fryman, who's got a 6-game hit streak, struck out his first time up. First time the Indians have been able to get the leadoff man on tonight against Tim Hudson. Hudson does a good job with that. He retires 72% of leadoff batters in an inning. My broadcast partner with the Mets, Tom Seaver, the Hall of Famer, says pitchers should be at 75% if you're a starter. There aren't many who reach that anymore.
No, and it goes back to the attacking style of pitching that Tom Seaver was. Attack, attack, attack. Now it tends to be pick, pick, pick. Instead of strike 1, it's ball 1.
So you get behind hitters even when they're leading off an inning and lose them. 1-1 delivery. That one's the right way. Base hit for Fryman. Segui with that bad foot will stop at second base, and the Indians have something going here in the 5th inning. Let's check in with Bill Pado. Bill.
All right, Gary, as DiGiorno takes us to Chicago, the White Sox lead the Indians by 7 as they begin play against Baltimore. Maglio Ordonez, that's a fair ball. Ordonez began the night with 103 RBIs, add 2 more to his season total. 3-0 Chicago, bottom 2.
What a year. Maglio Ordonez. The Indians 7 games out. That's a lot of games to make up at this point in the season. Charlie Manuel, the manager, believes his team has a legitimate chance because of their pitching situation. They're going to hit and score runs, which they're trying to do right here. Will Cordero. Runners at first and second, and nobody out.
Well, Chicago White Sox with that comfortable 11-12 game lead, kind of treading water. Cleveland's gotten hot. And when you're going up against a veteran team that has been through the wars before, that's all it needs to get them on a roll.
Timeout taken. This is a part of the order for the Cleveland Indians, the bottom part, 7, 8, and 9, which has been outstanding. The bottom part of their order, those 3 slots combined, hitting .289 with a .468 slugging percentage. More production from the lower third than any team in the majors. And this is where they're calling on it again. And that one is fouled off.
Notice
a 2-strike count on Cordero.
Well, Travis Fryman with the base hit through the right side. They're trying to keep their hands inside the hard, heavy sinker of Tim Hudson. You saw Will Cordero right there trying to take a shot to the right side. Instead of pulling that sinker, work the middle of the field, opposite field, trying to create something. And what a nice problem to have when you have a proven hitter like Will Cordero hitting in your 8-hole.
Segui, bear in mind, with that bad foot, is slow and going around the bases. So any base hit, there'll be a play at the plate if he tries. And the pitch is taken down low. 1 ball, 2-strike count on Cordero. And our Diaz, the number 9 hitter, waiting on deck as the Indians down by 2. Have the first 2 on in this inning, and now 4 hits in the ball game. A home run and 3 singles is what they've picked up off Tim Hudson. Cordero in the dirt. Good block made by Hernandez. Keeps the runners at first and second base.
Nice hands by Ramon. When you know your pitcher has that fork ball for his strikeout pitch, got to be aggressive and anticipate a ball in the dirt. Ramon Hernandez, that wide base, getting down there, smothering the ball, keeping it in his mitt. Not with David Segui necessarily, but if a ball is in the dirt with an Omar Vizquel or a Kenny Lofton, they will advance on any ball in the dirt. Corral that pitch. Nice job, Ramon.
2 ball, 2-strike count now on Cordero. 300 hitter with runners in scoring position. He's got 1 out there. Way outside, backhanded. Cordero knocked it down again. Hernandez did, rather. And now that will bring the catcher Hernandez out with a count 3-2.
Well, you're gearing up for a 2-seamer inside. Ramon gets a little cut fastball down in the dirt away. About all you can do is make a glove save on that pitch. No action in the A's bullpen, but they might start to get a little bit concerned when a guy who's been cruising along starting to miss the zone by that much. But still, ground ball, pitcher, situation, get you out of this inning.
56 pitches, no walks. That's helped, obviously. 1 home run, the run in the game so far for the Indians. In the dirt, 3rd consecutive time, and there's the first walk surrendered by Hudson. Loads him up with nobody out.
Now that's just youthful inexperience on that pitch selection. Got a veteran hitter in Will Cordero. You throw a 3-2 splitter. Now you have the chance for a huge inning. At worst, base hit keeps the thing going, but let him put the ball in play instead of walking him. Now you have the bases loaded. Einar Diaz create a whole world of opportunities for the opposing team now.
First legitimate rally the Cleveland Indians have had in this ball game. Diaz will get the chance with the bases loaded this year. A couple of hits and 3 chances. No salami. The number 9 hitter, nobody out. Foul tips that one, and that caught Hernandez.
Yes, it did. So the umpire Gary Cederstrom taking his time, giving Ramon Hernandez a breather. Little sinker inside. Einar Diaz catches it in there, fouls it right off for Ramon. One of the job descriptions: you will get dirty, you will sweat a lot, and you will get foul tips.
You
in
will
that
hurt.
groin region. Yes.
You will hurt. And he's hurting. The home plate umpire always gives the catcher time by going out to the mound or brushing off the plate or getting new baseballs, because the home plate umpire understands.
And it gives Tim Hudson a little bit of a breather as well.
Bases loaded, 1 strike count on Diaz. The A's have a 3-1 lead, but the Indians are threatening to cut into that here in the bottom half of the 5th inning. And a slow roller, play at the plate. That's a force for 1. That's the one they wanted. So they get Segui on the comebacker. 1 down. Bases remain loaded.
Good heads-up play by Tim Hudson. The only spot he has to go, home plate. Take your time. You're not going to get a double play out of it. Accurate throw. Now you're a ground ball away.
Top of the order, and Kenny Lofton. Lofton does have a grand slam this year. 3 for 9 with the bases loaded this season for Lofton, including 1 dinger. He's got them full here, 1 away, and Chavez will still cheat in at third to the cut of the grass because of the speed. That one line to the gap in right center field. Long over to try and cut it off. Does. 2 runs are in. They'll hold the runner at third. A 2 RBI double. Kenny Lofton has tied the game.
Kenny Lofton, we talked about him being the catalyst, Gary. Here he comes through with a huge hit, ball up in the zone, smokes it in the gap. Finally healthy, Kenny Lofton. Changeup, left middle out. Terrence Long flipping it to the stronger arm, Matt Stairs. But still, now you have a developing situation. Still, second and third, only 1 out, with a tie ball game and another veteran hitter at bat.
50 RBIs for Lofton, his 17th double. First base open, Omar Vizquel. They're in on the left side, and he goes the other way. A base hit. And Diaz scores. No play at the plate. Lofton scores. 5-3 Cleveland.
Boy, they just wait, and then explode. Couple of solid at-bats, starting with Will Cordero with the walk. 2 strikes on him, 3-2 count. Takes the base on ball. Einar Diaz. Now Omar Vizquel finding the hole. Infield in, looking to cut the runner down. Big hits.
Now they've got to try and settle Tim Hudson down. Omar Vizquel. RBIs 47 and 48 for the switch hitter. And Tim Hudson, who had headed on cruise through the first 4, runs into serious trouble with 4 runs in here in the 5th inning, and the Indians now with a 5-3 lead.
Rick Peterson paying a visit, trying to get him back. You're getting some ground balls. They're finding some holes. You're still a ground ball away from getting out of the inning. During this time, you got some action down in the A's bullpen, but still, Tim Hudson has the ability to get himself out of this inning, get the team back in there down by 2, get some runs created for the offense.
Long discussion. Hudson is 0-1 and 2 no decisions in his career against Cleveland. 0-1 this year. Doug Jones is up in the bullpen. Just started warm-up action, though. The other thing that has to be a concern for the A's, Mike, is that Hudson, in his last start against Detroit, went 3 2/3 innings, lost 10-1. 6 innings before that against Detroit, and then 2 2/3 against Chicago before that.
Again, it went down, talking to Ray Fosse, the announcer for the Oakland Athletics, was missing his location, and that was the one thing that I saw tonight. He was coming out and establishing his fastball down in the zone. Those other starts, he was elevated with everything and was getting hit around.
5-3 lead, still only 1 away. Here's Roberto Alomar 0 for 2. Omar Vizquel on at first, and this is where the Indians offense gives Charlie Manuel a chance to do about anything he wants to do.
Exactly right. Veteran hitter, veteran runner, hit and run, try and steal. Ramon Hernandez throwing out 20% of the runners. Continue to attack. Once you get a team down, you try and step on them and keep them down.
Alomar has that hole on the right side of the base being held at first by Stanley. Wild card game that's important to the A's, who trail the Indians by a half game, along with the Sox, Jays, Angels, even the Detroit Tigers involved in the race.
Hotter than heck right now.
Yep. Another team that looked as though in the first half they were going to just disappear. They haven't. Roberto Alomar mating a 1-strike count, and the fastball is down low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Boston has had rain tonight. That storm that went through here this morning went east. They have not gotten that Red Sox game started. Anaheim, Boston. They're in a rain delay, waiting for the first pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Alomar. Throw over to get Vizquel back to the bag. 16 stolen bases, caught 9 times. Omar Vizquel. For Alomar this year, 264 right-handed and 280 left. 12 of his 14 home runs hit left-handed. Good contact hitter. 1-1 delivery to him. In the dirt again. 2 ball, 1 strike count on Alomar.
Innings previous to this, Tim Hudson was loosey-goosey, so to say, free and easy, working the ball towards the middle of the plate, letting the action of the pitch take it to the outside corner. Now it looks like he's starting to choke it off a little bit, trying to guide it instead of rearing back and letting the action work for it again. Seen a lot of balls in the dirt this inning.
2 ball, 1 strike count. Vizquel at first. Alomar reaches short, hopped at third. Chavez, there's 1 and 2. There's what you were talking about, Mike. The ground ball they needed, they got. But the Cleveland Indians picked up 4 runs in the inning, getting Lofton's 2 RBI double and Vizquel's 2 RBI single. So Tim Hudson will take a break after giving up 4 runs, 4 hits in that 5th inning, and the Indians now with the 2-run lead. Don't forget preseason National Football League action tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. It'll be the St. Louis Rams and the Dallas Cowboys. Coverage begins with NFL tonight at 7:30. St. Louis 1-2, Dallas 0-4 in the preseason. That action's coming your way tomorrow, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN. Now Oakland's got to battle back as the road woes continue. Having lost here 14-6 in the ballgame last night. They had a 3-0 lead at the end of the first inning, and Bartolo Colon has not given anything up since. Eric Chavez, who started that double play, will lead it off here in the top half of the 6th inning. He's had an 0 for 2. Hernandez hitting 9th. And Frank Menechino at the top of the order. Due up. Oakland's gone just 8-11 in August. That is the 2nd worst record in the American League for the month of August. Not good. Nevertheless, 66-58 on the year. Art Howe knows. You can see it. Yeah, you see it. You look at his face, and you can see in Art Howe what these games are all about at this point. I mean, there is a tension there. There is a real tension about we need something. I'm wanting to reach out and grab it.
Well, we need healthy ball players, and Randy Velarde and Jason Giambi. With the biggest aspect, you're losing the leader on the field defensively in Randy Velarde and offensively in Jason Giambi. Having a monster MVP caliber year. There he is down in the corner. But when you lose those guys, I mean, that's a huge bat to lose. And Randy Velarde, with his presence out there, here's a guy that would come in during the break talking to Tim Hudson when things were getting rough for him. Jason Giambi's still trying to be the leader in the locker room in any case.
Big high heat right there. 5 strikeouts. Bartolo Colon, their leader, missing him on the field. You better believe it.
Being a team leader is something that's given to you by your teammates. That's not something you raise your hand and say, okay, I'm team leader now. That was kind of given to me by my teammates just because I've been here through the bad times, and now we have some good times coming on. And I think I learned a lot from Mark, which I could pass on to them, which kind of put me into that role because I kind of had a lot to teach from learning to Mark.
Mark McGuire, who's talking about close friends still to this day. And a guy that does call some clubhouse meetings, but basically in a funny, general manner to get his point across. And the clubhouse in the Oakland Athletics is loosey-goosey, like I said before, but they go out and they go to war night in and night out. And that's the biggest thing that you have to admire about these Oakland A's. Win, lose, or draw, you can't tell how they are, but come the next day, they forgot about last night's game and they're ready to go to battle.
Randy Velarde, coming over, having played years with the Yankees, was the most surprised probably of anybody when he went into that Oakland clubhouse for the first time when he became an A. He said, I couldn't believe it. He said the place was wild. Foul back. He said, after being with the Yankees, where I used to just hide in my cubicle with all these great stars and this aura and this history, and I came over here and guys are laying on the floor and the speakers are rolling and they're dancing and they're playing games. So I couldn't believe it.
You have Jerry Springer on one TV,
yeah,
WWF on another, and rap music on the radio. And guys getting ready to play a baseball game. But once they do take the field, they take it wholeheartedly, enthusiastically, and ready to do whatever it takes to win a ball game.
Yeah, they have done that. Ramon Hernandez with a 1-ball 2-strike count and 1 down. 0 for 2 so far for Hernandez. Bartolo Colon. It's the foul ball over near the Indians dugout, and that'll be behind it. And we'll keep the count at 1-2 strikes.
Here we are in the 6th inning, and Colon is still punching 98 on the mile-per-hour ticker. Getting stronger as the game goes on. Ran into a little bit of trouble, but the defensive play behind him, Kenny Lofton, Robbie Alomar. Boy, it's hard not to just attack a hitter when you have a defense behind you like that. Here it is. Go ahead. What are you going to do with it?
They've tried to keep Bartolo Colon on a pitch count for the first half of the year in order to keep him strong for the second half. That troublesome first inning that he has historically had happened again. Closing in on 100 pitches right here. 1-2 delivery on the 100th pitch down the line in right field. It is a fair ball bouncing off the wall. Hernandez goes to second base. Ramirez gets it in, and it's a 1-out double here in the 6th inning. Just kind of laid that one down the right field line.
Well, 2-strike approach. You see how Ramon gets crunched over, doesn't try and pull the fastball away, gets the head out. Ramon Hernandez is a solid fundamental hitter. He's just been struggling. This is his first full season up. They expect a lot of good offensive things out of Ramon. He has a strong arm behind the plate, trying to learn the league, learn the hitters. Has a very bright future ahead of him as well.
He gets the double. Art Howe gets the potential tying run to the plate. Minichino has struck out twice and grounded out. Runner at second base and 1 down in the 6th inning. Bartolo Colon has given up 6 hits now. Couldn't help but notice on a couple of balls to right, Manny Ramirez has played all year with a bad left hamstring. Refuses to come out, doesn't want to come out, but it is affecting his play. He has to be very careful in the outfield and running the bases, not to do further injury to that hamstring.
It would be catastrophic for this team if they lost Manny Ramirez again.
1-0 delivery. Mike, I was told tonight by someone who should know, Ramirez came back with a torn hamstring, has completely torn it, and is playing with a totally torn hamstring.
Well, that's hard to imagine one playing on, let alone trying to do some offensive damage that he is.
I don't know how you can play with
I don't know how you can walk.
But yeah, me either. But the person who told me was one who knows. And He's just trying to gut it out in right field.
Well, and he's playing it smart. That was an obvious double by Ramon Hernandez. Get to the ball, hit your cutoff man, let that happen. Game's on the line. Sure, you're going to see Manny Ramirez go harder. And here we have another visit from the trainer.
Second time the trainer's been called out. This visit will go as an official visit, I believe, because the trainer was not called on initially. Now, where's he going here? Calf?
Down there in that shin region. Taking him out.
Dick Pohl, the pitching coach. It appeared as though there was something that he was struggling with physically that the Indians knew about. They went out earlier. Charlie Manuel did on a medical visit. And this time they're going to bring him back. Paul Shuey just started to warm up. He'll get as much time as he needs with Shuey coming on, but because of the injury, he'll be allowed to take many warm-up pitches as is necessary. Top of the sixth, the Indians leading the A's 5-3. Bartolo Colon rather, out of the game here. Could be the winning pitcher. He went 5 1/3, 6 hits, 5 strikeouts, and 5 walks, 1 intentional, and it appears to be a knee problem, Mike.
Well, facing Ramon Hernandez, fastball away. Watch his left knee as he comes down and plants and drives off right there. Now watch how it kind of buckles backwards. He twisted his knee. Watch how he comes up ginger. And the trainer comes out. He says, points to his left knee. It's something twisted. Hopefully nothing popped in there. The trainer starts feeling around and says, look, this, 5 1/3, you're at 100 pitches, good time to get you out. Let's turn it over to our bullpen. Hopefully, again, you don't ever want to hear that pop sound or a click sound, but a smart move on the Indians' part, getting him out. Cannot afford to lose him.
Responsible for the base runner, Hernandez at second, 1 down, 6th inning, and 29-year-old right-hander Paul Shuey on in relief. And the top of the order. Menechino up, 0 for 3 in the game. And Shuey up high to him for a ball. Shuey on for the 40th time.
Paul Shuey, another guy here. You go from a guy throwing 98. I'm going to drop down a little bit to 95. He's got an outstanding curveball, forkball. Another guy, hard thrower, attacks the hitters.
Another part of the depth in this pen, and he hit him. A ball 4. Take it back. Ball 4. So he's down. Jumped out of there. I thought it caught him on the foot. It did not. So Colon will be charged with a walk. Bartolo Colon will end up with 6 walks, 5 unintentional, and he'll be responsible for both base runners. And now runners at first and second, only 1 away. And now you're getting to the middle of the order here for Olton. Long has had a couple of hits, 2 singles, 2 for 3, and a run scored. And a slow chopper out in front. Diaz goes to first. Almost blew Segui away. Throw to first base.
Well, I think David Segui was shielded a little bit by Terrence Long, who was running inside the base path on that. Einar Diaz, that's a free shot. You don't want to take advantage of it. See Einar Diaz exploding out. Nice, easy setup. Terrence Long running inside. First baseman setting up, and boy, Einar had some hair on that thing.
2 down. So Shuey with a chance to get out of the inning without further damage if he can get to Hudson. He has singled in 3 at-bats. He too scored in the first inning. Grieve with an RBI. Adam Pyatt with 2. As all the A's runs came in the first inning off Bartolo Colon. And the fastball is up high. Ball 1. Miguel Tejeda at the plate. Runner in scoring position for him, and A's looking to cut that lead, and that just missed.
Almost a tie ball game.
Almost racked that one into the corner, out of the reach of Fryman at third base. Almost took his man, his own base runner, out there at third. Shuey trying to keep this 2-run lead. It's a big moment in the ball game for both of these teams. Breaking ball hit in the air into the corner in left field. It's tied up. He'll make the turn to second. Cordero will get the throw in, and this ball game is 5-5 as Tejeda comes up big.
Spun on a fastball on the inside part of the plate. Now he gets the breaking ball out over and is able to keep this one fair. There's the slider. Look at him extend through the zone right over Travis Fryman's head and into that corner.
And Bartolo Colon will be charged with the 5 runs that are on the board. So he's non-decision. And we've got a tie game again. A's with 5 runs on 7 hits. Both of these teams have come up with timely hits in this game. And Ben Grieve with a runner at second base and 2 down. Boy, 2 out hits. Precious.
Just a great job by Miguel going up there, staying aggressive. Shuey gets the ball elevated in the zone, and Mickey hammers it down into the corner.
They make the difference in games. And that off-speed delivery is a strike on the outside corner. Tejeda's now got 88 runs batted in this year.
Jeez. Take that from your shortstop.
Wow. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Grieve. Was trying to bring him home and get the lead back. Held up on that one, and the pitch missed inside to him. 2 ball, 1 strike count on Ben Grieve. Both of these teams can generate offense. They do it in different ways. Cleveland Indians 4th in average, 6th in runs, while Oakland, that very unusual 13th in average but 3rd in runs. They do it on homers and walks. 2-1 delivery inside again. Grieve again laid off it, and a 3-1 count.
And Oakland's missing John Jaha, their all-star from last year. Been out most of this season. 30-something home runs for the A's last year.
Got only 30 games in.
Filling some holes somehow. They're still scoring the runs.
No team in the majors has ever finished first in runs and last in average. That's never happened. And that's outside for a ball. The A's are threatening to do just that. So Shuey drawing some of the ire of the home crowd here as the A's keep the inning alive, 1st and 2nd with 2 down. Stanley coming up. And Shuey's on the hook now. Stanley's had 2 walks and has been struck out. See what he can do with it here with 2 away. Look to second base. No coverage back there on Tejeda.
Look for Mike to be aggressive on the first fastball he sees. Colon's out of there now after throwing him so many breaking balls.
That one misses down low. Shuey struggling with the strike zone here.
You wonder how loose he was when he got out there. We saw him when the Colon situation was going on. He was just lobbing down in the bullpen playing catch. Comes out here, took his warm-up tosses, but still, was it enough? It sure doesn't look like it. He's really struggling with the strike zone in his command. He's not extending through the zone at all. Going after most hitters with the fastball, mixing in an occasional breaking ball. He's the type of guy that likes to get ahead with the fastball, then throw the splitter for the strikeout, throw the curveball in there for effect as well. A guy that maybe you put into this pressure situation right now, and all right, now I kind of squeeze things off a little bit and elevate it. The guy's has an outstanding arm. There's no doubt about that, and has been a successful pitcher. Just wonder how loose he was when he came in.
Yeah. And he, as we said, he had as much time as he needed. Doesn't make it any easier when the home crowd is all over you. And they are right now. 1 ball, 1 strike count as they applaud the strike. One, 2 down, 2 on. That one misses inside, and a 2 ball, 1 strike count. The A's make you work here. 116 pitches have been seen tonight by the A's. 58 out of the strike zone, 58 in. How about that for a breakdown? Half and half. Not good if you're pitching. That one is fouled off, and the count goes to 2-2. Stanley trying to come up with another big 2-out hit. Stanley 2 for 7. Lifetime off Shuey with 1 home run. A's calling on their bench players to play because of injuries. Stanley's one of those. Shuey, the runners at first and second. 2-2. Stanley down to third. Fryman goes to second. They get the force out with Alomar taking the throw. But a couple of runs in, Bartolo Colon charged with him, and we're back to where we started. We'll see Ramirez coming up in a 5-5 game. Cleveland Indians at home, 34 wins and 25 losses, trying to extend a 4-game win streak. And this is their home, the Jake. Cleveland went behind 3-0 in the first, came back and got a 2-run lead in the fifth. The A's have come back to tie it up with a couple of runs in the sixth. Tim Hudson, the starter, 1 walk and 4 strikeouts. Remains on for the A's. Ramirez with a single, 7-game hit streak, 1 for 2 in the game, batting at .336 on the year. And Hudson outside to him, 1-1.
Talked about the pitcher. Team scores you 2 runs. How the pitcher has to come out and throw up a 0 in that next inning. Keep things on a roll for your ball club.
How about hitting .336 and you're not in the top 10 in your league? That hurts a little. He's only 1 point out of the top 10, but
I don't care. That's
man. Omar Garcia Parra at .369 leading the league.
Is that good?
Some big averages. Not quite Todd Helton in his 400 race, but Ramirez with a 2-ball 1 strikeout.
Oof.
The rainmaker down the line and left and over towards the seats. Souvenir.
That had some altitude.
Good punt.
Good hang time.
Whole team had time to go over there and go after.
Yeah, Eric Chavez getting a little giddy here, thinking he might have a shot at this. Yeah, well, good way to turn an ankle.
Not a good idea. Just say no.
Youthful
Don't
exuberance.
go up there. Don't go there. Oh man, that's scary.
Kids.
Talking about us or them. 2-2 on Ramirez. Nice off speed. 5 strikeouts for Hudson. Hey, I want to remind you that ESPN the magazine, the new issue out on newsstands now, is a preview of the National Football League season. The experts with their picks. Inside, you'll find a story on Manny Ramirez, MVP in the American League. You got to give some consideration. And in the National, Mike Piazza. You're going to see Piazza coming up. They're in San Diego. The Mets are. And that game will be on ESPN following ours here in Cleveland. We are a company of synergy, folks. Make no mistake. We will weave every and anything into any moment we have. The shift is on, and we're not talking about your broadcasters. Jim Thome, his 31st home run came in the 2nd inning. Takes a strike. They move everybody over to the right side. Chavez, the 3rd baseman, playing almost behind second. 2nd baseman is playing over there. And over there is nobody.
A's employ a similar defense against Ken Griffey Jr. when he was with the Mariners.
Foul ball. Hit him that hard, and you wish you weren't over there, even though it comes right at you.
Yeah, that'll leave a bruise.
to be a great shortstop with Cleveland and also a manager, instituted the Ted Williams shift, from which most of this that we now see is derived. The idea of shifting your position players. Boudreau did against Williams, who did what Thome did, hit it out of the yard most of the time. Boudreau was a player manager too at one point, was he not? This is where you put the ball, and there's Boudreau right there, the retired number 5. Manager player, and a great one. Thome waiting. Here's the 2-2, and it's a full count.
Jose Canseco, a lot of teams do it for him. Mo Vaughn. Try it on Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds will drop a bunt down that third base line. There's no pride involved. I'll get a knock out of it.
That's right.
A knock is a knock. If it means getting an inning started, I'll do it.
Jim Thome with a 3-2 delivery, rips out for his 1,000th major league hit. Take that, Schiff.
Throw that ball in the dugout.
So a couple of career marks tonight for Jim Thome. His 1,000th major league hit, and the home run he hit moved him to second place all time. And Thome's asking for the baseball over at first. They'll throw it into the dugout, and that will go on the mantle in the den. And they're putting it on the board, and the fans are responding. There you go, Peoria, Illinois. You're Jim Thome. David Segui, he of the broken foot fame, takes the pitch up high for a ball. He singled in the 5th.
Yeah, he has those tennis shoes, those specially fit tennis shoes you were talking about, Gary. Another aspect's getting in these batters box. When they get real hard, he has a tendency to slip and slide around a little bit. But the tennis shoes force him in the back of his mind not to jump out at the ball. Keeps him back. Stay soft with the bottom half.
And he rips that one into the right field corner. Matt Stairs going after it. Thome's on the fly. Thome gets the third. Relay throw coming. Thome to the plate. Here's the throw. He's in.
What an aggressive read by Jim Riggleman, sending Jim Thome all the way. Strong arm Matt Stairs. Ball is rifled into the right field corner. David Segui uses one of the heavier bats in the leagues. Look at how soft his hands are. Hammered into the corner. Watch Riggleman sending Thome all the way. You got to go, you got to go, you got to go. Relay throw, not in time. Jim Thome, nice job of hustling. David Segui digging it a little bit.
Yes, he did. David Segui, 71 RBIs on the year, is going to knock the starter, Tim Hudson, out of the game. As Cleveland has come back to within 1, 6-5. Doug Jones will come out of the bullpen in relief with the potential tying run on at second base, and 1 down in the 6th. Starter Tim Hudson will have to watch. 5 1/3, 8 hits, a walk, and 5 strikeouts. Leaves with a lead, but responsible for the run at second base. There are the numbers. And 43-year-old Doug Jones delivers a changeup. What a surprise to Travis Friend.
Well, Doug Jones, the consummate pitcher. Location and changing speeds. That's why Doug has been around. Plus, the most effective changeup you'll ever see. You'll see bats being thrown, being so far out in front of a 68-mile-an-hour changeup, and then he'll throw you a 74-mile or 82-mile-an-hour fastball, and you're late on it. The guy talking to Doug Jones last year sits there, throws the pitch, and reads how the hitter reacts to it. That determines whether or not he throws the fastball or change up the next pitch. Has a great ability to determine that.
16 years of the major leagues. A slower than slow off-speed pitch outside. 2 ball, 1 strike count. Travis Fryman up the single and is struck out.
That's still better than Derek Bell's fastball yesterday, isn't it?
Oh, gee. I hate seeing that happen. Understand why it does, but almost think there ought to be a rule that you cannot use a position player as a pitcher. Breaking ball fouled off. Doug Jones still holds the Cleveland record for saves, 129. The Cleveland record. Now pitching, of course, in the A's uniform.
Look at that number of games.
That's a lot of pitches. Two ball, two strike count. Runner at second base, Segui. Breaking ball hit in the air to center and hit high. Way back of the wall. Fryman got one up, and it's dropped at center by Long. Late start for Segui. He'll score in an RBI double for Fryman to tie the game. Could have been caught by Long, but he thought it was going over his head.
A tough break for Doug Jones. Fly ball deep center field. We saw Kenny Lofton closing the ground, making a great play. Terrence Long gets back there. Ball just seems to die right there on the Warner track, overruns the ball, and it drops in.
Wow. It is a 7-5 Cleveland lead. Nobody wishes he had that one again more than Long. Man, oh man, that ball kept carrying on him, and he got back and actually ran too far, and then had to reach back, couldn't play it. Cordero, the ground ball, they'll go to third and will get the lead runner. Fryman trying to advance on a ball hit in front of him, and is taken out at third base.
Well, that's not the veteran move you'd like to see from Travis Fryman. Running on a ball that's in front of him. You're taught to read the ball, make sure it's behind you before you advance to third. Easy out for Miguel Tejada. Ball's right in front of him. Throw to third, out. Going straight on contact. Easy play for Miguel.
So it costs him that runner in scoring position, and you change it with a runner at first base. Two down. Diaz up. Reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the fifth. He is struck out. So the Indians in the sixth with a couple of runs in go back on top 7-5. Breaking ball from Doug Jones misses outside. Both of the runs charged to the starter, Hudson. There he is. And a strike taken. So we started this game looking like it was going to be offensive. Middle innings, it settled into a pitcher's duel. Now we're back to the hitters.
Well, the Cleveland Indians in this ballpark are never out of a ball game. They feed off the crowd.
And another base hit off Jones into center. Diaz on. Runners at first and second. The Indians now with 10 hits in the game.
This is a ball.
They're holding that bat back, aren't they?
Yeah, I tell you, they feed off this crowd. They play aggressively, and when they start stringing some base hits together, the crowd gets into it, and everything seems to continue on a roll. That's when you see, there he is, the guy up there in the left field bleachers with that stupid drum. I hated hearing that thing.
John Adams is his name. We'll send along a personal greeting from you, Mike.
He was over there at the old Mistake by the Lake to boot. They talk about a true fan, and there he goes with the war beat again.
And the delivery hit in the air to center field. Long backing up. Kenny Lofton's fly ball will be hauled in. And that will retire the side, but not before they put up a couple more runs, and Travis Fryman wishes he'd have been out there to add one more to that.
Coon Shep.
ESPN's Wednesday Night Baseball is brought to you by Holiday Inn, who gives you more, and more is better.
Welcome back, everybody. Gary Thorne, Mike McFarland. Send along our best of Ray Knight, a bit under the weather. And wish him well back home here tonight. Matt Stairs will lead it off. A seesaw game. 7-5. The Indians on top of the A's again. Shuey on in relief. Will stay on. Stairs, Hyatt, Chavez due up. 3 walks in the game for Stairs. Try and figure this game out. Guy with the lowest average in the entire league.
Pitched around. Adam Hyatt with a big hit in the first inning. And Matt Stairs, 3 walks. Again, that's I'm telling you, it's reputation of Matt Stairs.
That's why that cut, if he connects, he puts one into Erie. A 1-ball, 2-strike count.
There's Adam Hyatt with the big hit in the first inning.
A 7-5 lead for the Indians, and taken outside. You look ahead to the schedule going down the stretch for Cleveland. Man, have they got some games going. Carsey and Rincon in the bullpen. The Indians have 8 games against Boston in September. 8 games, including consecutive double headers.
Well, that's going to make up some games in a hurry. Put a lot of stress on your staff.
They'll play a game a day in the month of September when you add in the double headers.
Well, the good thing is you'll get some call-ups to help.
Ground ball down to first. The flip made on the coverage by Shuey from Segui. And Stairs is retired. 1 away here in the 7th inning. Brought to you by Old Spice, the Oakland in-game box.
Miguel Tejada with the 2-run double that tied the game up a while ago. It seems like a while ago. Last inning. Adam Hyatt. Look at the 5 walks between Stanley and Stairs. Oakland A's get on base, make things happen.
The Yankees a few years ago started winning by being patient, taking more pitches than any other team. Other teams took note of that. Oakland has done that. They require the opposing pitcher to spend a lot of energy, and they draw a lot of walks. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Adam Hyatt with 1 down and nobody on here in the 7th inning. Oakland trying to get back to the playoffs, first time since '92, if they could do that. They don't care how, be it the wild card or be it in their division. 3.5 games behind Seattle starting today's play. Fouled off, only a half game out in that American League wild card race.
Still a lot of ball to be played. They go, the Oakland A's go through a stretch where they play some second division teams. And then the Orioles made a lot of changes. Tampa Bay, who had been struggling at sometimes, Minnesota.
2 ball, 2 strike count. That one down the right field line, foul. The glory of it is, of course, when you get into the teams that know they're out of it and you end up playing them in September, they take the attitude that Texas did against the Yankees. This is our World Series. We can knock you out of postseason. Good for us.
Exactly right, and that's the way it should be for those teams. You continue to compete night in, night out, and you don't roll over. Take a look at the Kansas City Royals. They're a team that's going to slap some earned runs on you as a pitcher, and you better go in there with your A game. Or these good hitting kids that are coming up from the minor leagues are going to put it to you a little bit. And nowadays, you just can't lay down for anybody. You continue to compete.
See what the Indians have left with their 40 games, 23 against teams that are 500 or better, and 1 day off. That is going to test your staff.
That'll test your mettle again. Boy, you talk about a year of adversity. The worst thing you want to see are those double headers in September.
37 games left. They get 3 days off. 21 of their games against teams 500 or better. Chop foul.
Ugh. Fumble. Popcorn, everything down. Peanuts.
See, that kid knew, though. See, he went to the patient. The victory.
Let's see. There goes a Pepsi.
Oh, man, I had that.
Not anymore.
3-ball, 2-strike count. The old tortoise and hare story, and once again the tortoise won. 3-2 delivery, right center field. Pretty good wood, but that's a deep alley out there, and that is going to take a hop off the wall. How did that not get caught? Played back in by Lofton. Again, Ramirez with that bad leg and right does not make any quick burst to bear down. I thought that ball was catchable.
Well, yeah, but again, you said it all. It's Manny Ramirez taking it easy, and you saw Kenny Lofton break right off the get-go. The ball's driven into the gap. Look at Kenny Lofton go, 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 kind of looking up. Manny, you should be there. And then Ramirez watches the ball go over his head. Kenny Lofton. All goes back to that hamstring.
So here come the A's in the 7th inning with 1 down. They bring the potential tying run to the plate again. Eric Chavez due up. Paul Shuey did not have a particularly strong appearance. 5 doubles have been collected by the A's in this game. Shuey out of there responsible with a base runner on at second. Rincon will be coming out of the bullpen, and this taffy game full will continue when we come back. Well, the double, which looked like it could have been caught, looked like this.
Here comes Kenny Lofton. You see Kenny going to take the hat off, telling Manny, you got room, you got room. Next thing you know, it's over Manny's head. Watch Kenny mouth out the words, you're all right, you got room. Boom, over Manny's head. Again, boils down to the fact Manny Ramirez cannot explode with that torn hamstring. Kenny Lofton playing right or left center field covered an awful lot of ground to get over there even to back it up.
Eric Burns is the pinch hitter, and first ball hitting goes to center on the mark to Lofton off Rincon, and the runner back to the bag. Let's check in with Bill Pito. Bill.
All right, Gary, as DiGiorno takes us to Yankee Stadium at Texas and New York. Jorge Posada here pulling it. It is fair, and it drives in another run for New York, and they now lead Texas by the score of 6-4. Paul and Eagles score 6-4, top 7.
The Yankees trying to put a little distance in there. Rincon just came off the DL today. It is his first appearance since May 16 against Detroit. He had an elbow irritation problem, and he's going to throw 1 pitch.
Go Ice.
Steve Carsey out of the bullpen. 7-5. Indians lead it. Indians with a 7-5 lead and trying to protect it going deep into the bullpen. Steve Carsey coming out. He leads the team in appearances. For Rincon, hey, I was great. I got 1 out.
Hey, just activated, 1 pitch, line drive right at. Look at the guys. Hey, take it on in. Go get some ice. Look at that. You got to be kidding. Hey, nice night work. Make sure you're okay for tomorrow night's game.
Always count on your teammates.
Exactly.
Ramon Hernandez, runner at second base, 2 down. And the pitch up high. Carsey on in relief. For Ricky Rincon, 1 pitch.
That's what I'm talking about. That's called effective.
That's right. That's a
management of your pitches.
That's a hold.
Attack the hitter, make them put it in play.
Carsey up. Adam Pyatt's at second base. 1-1 count on Hernandez.
Steve Carsey can close, can start, can do it all. Good over-the-top fastball, breaking ball. Effective in any slot you put him in.
28-year-old right-hander, 6 major league season. Carsey with a fastball. It's right there.
97 miles an hour. You know, you look at these guys that come out of the bullpen for the Indians. You got Colon that comes in throwing 98 miles an hour. Carsey, 97 miles an hour. You know, Shuey, 95 miles an hour with movement. I mean, they don't give you any breaks.
1 ball, 2-strike count on Hernandez. A double in the 6th inning for him, and a step out here at the plate with a 1-2 count.
1-2 count. Now you might see that good 12-6 curveball from Carsey, bouncing it in the dirt, trying to get Hernandez to chase.
53rd appearance, leading the team in appearances out of the pen this year. 1-2 delivery. Got a breaking ball chopper to third. Fryman's up with it, makes the play, and the pen gets it done. So 3 Cleveland pitches combined for a scoreless top of the 7th, with one of them throwing 1 pitch and got it out. Stretch time. Indians leading at 7th inning stretch time, 7-5 over the A's. Mike Magnotti coming out of the bullpen will be the new pitcher for Oakland. 45th timeout.
Mike Magnotti, one of those old school screwballs. Most effective pitch, locates his fastball, likes to pitch inside to right-handed hitters, but again, that screwball going down and away from the right-handed batters. Most effective pitch. Eric Burns stays in the game in left field. Adam Pyatt moves into third base. Nice flexibility for Art Howe when you got guys that can play those different positions. Young kids showing Art Howe, look, I'm making an audition this year. Saw the line drive from Eric Burns, came up there, not intimidated. Lined out off Rincon, but still put a good swing on the ball.
And we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and Omar Vizquel with a big 2 RBI single. In the 5th inning, Kenny Lofton had a 2 RBI double in that inning, back-to-back hits that provided 4 important runs in the 5th. Takes that one to right field. Stairs coming over. And Vizquel is retired, 1 away in the Cleveland half of the 7th inning. Indian fans finding a reason to believe this season may not go down the tubes after all. In postseason play, the real possibility they continue to draw here over 2,600,000. They're averaging 42,600 plus per game.
And they're starting to see that old Cleveland Indians team. We score 1 run, we'll score 3 the next half inning. And especially here at Jacobs Field, I can't tell you how many times I felt we had a comfortable lead when I was playing, and next thing you know, they throw a 5-spot on you and are right back in the ball game.
Roberto Alomar, 274 in the year. Alomar thinking about laying one down for a base hit as he turned around to bat right. 2-strike count.
A screwball from Mike Magnotti down in the zone. Came over from the Anaheim Angels where he pitched the last couple years. Been around a while, but still pitches effectively. And again, that screwball. Doug Jones from the left side.
0-2 delivery, and way up high with that, wanted him to chase. Alomar would not. It's 2 bullpens. Cleveland's bullpen is ranked 6th in the American League in ERA. Tied for 2nd with a number of teams in wins. Bullpen for Cleveland. Foul back. Oakland has been below that as they came in ranked 10th in the league in bullpen effectiveness. Our Old Spice in-game box score for the Indians.
9 base runners in the last 2+ innings, accounting for 6 runs. Big hits. Segui, Fryman, Kenny Lofton, and Omar Vizquel. You get 4 RBIs at the top of your lineup. That's awfully nice.
Cleveland had just 2 runners in the first 4 innings when Tim Hudson was controlling the ball game and the A's had the lead. And as you said, Mike, they just keep hanging in there and explode on you. And that's what they have done in this game. 7-10-0 for the Indians, 5-8-0 for the A's. And they've made a couple of fine defensive plays that have helped out as well. Alomar had a big play at second base.
Got him out of the inning.
Lofton chase run down.
Exactly.
In the outfield, same inning.
Fewest errors in the AL.
These are the things that add up and don't show up in the box score, but change the whole complexion of a game. If Alomar doesn't make that play, there are a couple of runs in, the inning keeps going. Same thing on the catch by Lofton. Saves
Cologne a couple extra pitches, even though he did struggle. It still boils down to the past. We've done it in the past. We know we can do it again. Your pitcher's going to be more aggressive in the strike zone, hopefully,
yep,
and allow him to put the ball in play.
1-ball, 2-strike count on Roberto Alomar. And the pitch is inside to him and low. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Magnotti of the A's, seesaw game. hold them where they are, give the A's a chance to get some more. You got to believe that can happen in this game. And that one reached for and fouled off outside of third. These teams have split the first 10 games they have played this year, including a sweep by the A's in Oakland a week plus ago.
Some of the best ball the Oakland Athletics have played the entire season in that sweep, and coming out of that sweep, a couple Cleveland Indians with the quote, "We'll see him at our park. We'll get our chance." So they're coming in with some vengeance.
2-2 delivery and into right field. Take it where it's delivered. Roberto Alomar lays one out. A one-out single there in the 7th inning, and the 11th hit for the Tribe in this game. Wednesday Night Baseball. Great to have you with us on ESPN. First half of our doubleheader at the Jake in Cleveland, where the Indians have battled from behind to take a 7-5 lead. The wild card spot. What's up for grabs in this ball game, with the Indians leading in the American League wild card race by a half game. And then you're going to see the Mets and the Padres. Most of you will, coming up next, as the Mets are on the West Coast rounding out a trip there. They got blasted by the Padres yesterday. That game coming up. Manny Ramirez. Every one of the Cleveland Indian players has been on base at least once in this game. And Ramirez is going to add to it. Second hit for Ramirez. Burns will get it back in. 2 for 4 in the ball game. 7-game hit streak for Manny Ramirez.
Well, that hamstring sure doesn't have any effect on his swing.
It's amazing, huh?
Yeah, it is. It really is. Knows he has a base hit. You notice, see the left leg just bandaged heavily. Taking his time. Pinch runner coming in. Save those legs. Get your defense in the outfield now.
He'll come out for a pinch runner, but Ramirez doing what he's put in there to do. Hobert Cabrera comes on as the pinch runner. And Ramirez out of the game. Runners at first and second. Now they do not have the shift on Tomey. With 2 on here and a better scoring chance, they don't want Tomey to be able to take advantage of an empty left side of the infield.
Exactly. Jim Tomey has a tendency to try and stay inside the ball against a left-handed pitcher, to use the whole field a little bit more.
Look back to second. Nobody there. Tomey got his 31st home run in the 2nd inning and a single in the 6th. He's hitting .233 off left-handers and .302 off right-handers. He's only had 1 hit off Magnotti in 11 tries. Fouls that one back, and a 2-strike count.
999th hit. 400 and some odd feet away from a ball up in the zone from Tim Hudson.
Tomey has divided up the homers as equally as you can. 16 here and 15 on the road.
You're looking at a good person in Jim Tomey as well as a great competitor. Good to see him have a lot of success and continued success here in Cleveland for a long time.
1 ball, 2-strike count. 2 on. The Indians trying to extend their 7-5 lead here in the bottom half of the inning. Looking to extend their win streak to 5 games. They can get the victory here tonight. Swung on and missed. Magnotti's had success against him in the past, and he continues it here. Jeff Tam in the bullpen. Involved in a couple of pitches thrown behind the batter last night. Runner at first. Runners at first and second still. That's Roberto Alomar talking with the group out there. Tejada, the shortstop. Cabrera's at first, the pinch runner, and Segui the opportunity. This Cleveland lineup loaded with the switch hitters. They bring another one on here. David Segui. And another look to second base. Segui has done well against the southpaws. He's hitting .310 against left-handers and .350 against right-handers.
But he's only 1 for 8 in the past against Mike Magnani. Another guy might have trouble going after that screwball. The way David Segui swinging a bat left-handed with a sinker ball. Pitcher Jeff Tam warming up in the bullpen. Like your chances keeping him on the right-hand side here against Mags and his screwball.
Standings we were talking about, the Red Sox have had a rain delay at home against Anaheim. They have not gotten that game started. And the A's and Indians playing right here. So you can see the importance of this game via the wild card standings. 2 down, 2 on. David Segui, a ground ball to short. Tejada's got to force it. Second, goes there to get it. No runs, couple of hits, and 2 are left on base. We've completed 7 at the Jake with the Indians up by 2. 7-5 lead for the Indians over the A's. As we go to the top half of the 8th inning, Cabrera will stay in the game in right field. He came on to run for Ramirez and stays in Ramirez's position. Menachino will lead it off. He drew a walk and scored in the 6th. 0 for 3 in the ball game. Top of the order, Long and Tejada due up. So the A's have got to battle back. They've had the lead slip by a couple of times in this game to the Indians. Carsey, who came on in the last inning, stays on here for Cleveland. Shuey's got a chance to be the winner. Bartolo Colon was an ND. Which has nothing to do with being a doctor. And the pitch is taken outside, ball 2, 2-0. The official scorer in these situations always has, when he gets to relievers winning and losing, the right to decide a reliever was ineffective. The one who would pick up the win if you go by the straight rules. You could say that reliever was ineffective and give the win to somebody else.
Right.
But in tonight's game, not likely to happen. Just the way it's broken down so far.
Go to Rincon for effectiveness.
Yeah, 1 pitch, 1 out. If he did that all year, he'd hardly ever throw, and he'd be the MVP. Drilled way back in left field, but curving and a foul.
That thing's rolling a little bit.
Chased down by a fan who didn't pay a dime.
Good point. Frankie Menachino, nicknamed Pocket Hercules for his stocky build and strength, just rammy cackles this. Look at that swing from a little second baseman. Frankie with those big arms, just hooking foul.
Now, when you look up Rami Cackle, that is what you'll see.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, foul, that's foul. Yes, wow. That's foul.
1 Rami Cackle. And that's going to be a base hit. So he gets a Rami Cackle into hit. All in one at bat. I think that's the first time that's happened in Major League history. They usually don't come in the same at bat. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Why would you want to? And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Go to MajorLeagueBaseball.com for the most complete baseball coverage on the internet.
Carsey says he took my fastball 500 feet foul and then threw him another one, and Frankie Menachino with a base hit.
A's aren't done yet. Here's Long, couple of hits, 2 for 4, 2 singles and a run scored. 9 hits in the ball game now for the A's and 12 for the Indians. Oh, 1 count. And right off the end of the bat, foul ball. We were talking about Long and all the great numbers he's put up among the rookie leaders. He leads in runs and walks, doubles, second in home runs, hits, triples, and 4th among the rookies in RBIs. Impressive list.
And playing on a team that's in contention. I think you got to give that an extra nod, an extra look.
Yep.
Take that into consideration.
Playing under pressure. Long takes the pitch outside. 1 ball, 2 strike count. 282 on the year for him. 51 RBIs.
And the thing that's impressed some of these A's players the most, coming up and playing with such reckless abandon, giving a team a lift from the #1 spot. Now he's down hitting second, but playing hard and playing aggressive the way it should be done.
Fastball inside. Carsey had been working him away, tried to catch him leaning a little bit that time. Worked a fastball in, but missed the inside corner. 2 ball, 2 strike count on Terrence Long. Tim Hudson, Bartolo Colon, the 2 starters. Both went 5 1/3, both non-decision. 2-2 delivery. Breaking ball tapped down to first, and it is a foul ball. And David Segui is real happy about that because he just threw the ball into left field.
He knew it was foul.
Yeah, he knew. It was close. He wanted that to be a fair ball.
Yes, here comes a little chopper down the line. David Segui, the umpire, assumes the position right on the line. That is very close.
Rob Drake, perfect position.
And then the scud.
Segui doesn't have any errors this year. You want to turn around and shake Rob Drake's hand on that one. 48 games, no errors. Segui is a very good first baseman.
Very solid first baseman.
2-2 delivery. Fastball's right there, and he knew it. Carsey, first strikeout.
Watch the explosive action. Gets to that point and then runs out over the plate. Ball just explodes into the strike zone. Terrence Long looking.
Strange night tonight in that we've had 6 total strikeouts by the 4 Cleveland pitchers, and 5 of those have been called third strikes. Doesn't happen very often.
No, it doesn't. Colon was throwing some darts on that outside corner, though. That was just a case of Terrence Long. Ball sinking back over the plate a little more than he thought it would.
Tejada, single and a double, 2 RBIs, and a run scored for Miguel Tejada, hitting .276. Takes the fastball outside, ball 1.
And Tim Hudson earlier with the Tim Hudson has such great action on his ball, and when he's on that fork ball, you see so many swings and misses. Got the power of Colon and the action of Tim Hudson. You can see those 2 locking horns for many years to come.
1-0 delivery to him. Nice block made at the plate that time to keep the double play in order. Something else that doesn't show up in the box score.
Exactly right.
Holding runners.
Nothing but hustle from that young man.
They have just started their game in Boston. 10:01.
Boy, and Boston has to fly to Kansas City for a game tomorrow night. Oof.
And that just misses outside. 3-0 count. Miguel Tejada making him work.
Pedro Martinez pitching that game, hopefully flew ahead for the Red Sox fans. And Carsey making things interesting,
which he'd rather not be doing. Runner at first base. Keno see whether or not he's going. He's not, and the fastball's up high, and he walked him. So the A's have a chance here in the 8th inning. 2 on and 1 down. Aquino goes down to second base. Tejada down to first. Here comes Oakland again, using these free passes to their benefit. Bartolo Colon walked 6, 1 intentional. Shuey walked 1. Carsey's walked 1. Howe's team will try and take advantage of that now, and Charlie Emanuel looking to his pen to hang on to this 2-run lead they've got going. Now the designated hitter batting cleanup, Ben Grieve, had a double in the first inning for an RBI, has drawn a walk, 1 for 3 in the ballgame.
and likes hitting in this ballpark.
The A's making it interesting again. Takes the fastball outside. Boy, the fans are really ready to jump in the Cleveland
in a heartbeat. I tell you, you get so used to perfection year in and year out, and the team battling through some adversity. They're busting their tails, and the fans are just ruthless right now. Whew.
Grieve 2 for 7 lifetime off Steve Carsey. The off-speed breaking ball misses, and a 2-0 count.
And working yourself into some trouble. 1-0 breaking ball in the dirt. Ben Grieve with a great eye.
Another one of these players hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position. Grieve, 321 number in these situations. And a good eye, too. Boy, they just won't bite on those close pitches, and a 3-0 count on Grieve.
They do not expand their strike zone unless they're forced to. Once the umpire dictates the strike zone, calling the corners, then they expand their strike zone. But as far as balls down in the dirt and things like that, you rarely see Oakland A's hitters go after it, especially Ben Grieve.
3-0 count, green light, taking all the way. 3-1. And the fans give the Bronx cheer to Carsey. 3-1 with one away. Runners at first and second base. Menachino led it off with a single, then a one-out walk to Tejada at first.
Extra base hit will score Miguel Tejada.
3-1 delivery. Grieve takes it, and they're full. Bases are loaded in the 8th inning. With Stanley coming up. You got to throw strikes to the A's. And still only one away. Last year, the A's had 770 walks, the most since 1949, and the 5th most ever. Detroit Tigers have won their ball game. They are 5 behind the Indians in the wild card race in the American League. Red Sox, of course, we told you, are just underway at home against Anaheim. And 57 pitches have been thrown tonight by the 4 Cleveland pitchers. And not a good ratio. 77 balls and 80 strikes.
But still, they are one pitch away from getting out of the inning. A fastball down and away, get a ground ball, double play. Use those gold glovers up the middle.
And Stanley's the man at the plate. 16th game since being signed by the A's. He's had 1 home run and 5 RBIs with Oakland. 246 on the season coming into tonight's game. 244 right now. And Carsey wants to talk. Diaz is on his way out. Seven 12-0 for the Indians. 5-9-0 for the A's. Ball game on the line here in the 8th. With the bases loaded. And Stanley, who's had a couple of walks, hit into a fielder's choice and been called out on strikes at the plate. And he'll take the first pitch down the middle. Stanley is 2 for 8 lifetime off Steve Carsey. Cleveland pen is active and ready. They decide to make a change here. Good off-speed breaking ball. 2-strike count on Stanley.
Talk about a 12-6 curveball. You're looking for some torque. That is some bite. Like Steve Carsey turning it up a notch, using that anger a little bit to his advantage.
Now the fans behind him. Bases loaded. 0-2 delivery. Stanley, strike 3 called.
Boy, you go from walking the previous 2 batters nowhere near the zone. Fastball away, breaking ball, and then an absolute dart at 97 miles an hour on the inside corner. Mike Stanley had no chance on this pitch. tough situation when a guy is wild and then automatically somehow locks it in and throws 3 darts on you.
Baseball is great theater. We now have great theater. Bases loaded. Matt Stairs, the lowest batting average in the league, stands in with the bases loaded, 2 down in the 8th inning. Menachino at a single, lead runner. Tejada the walk at second. Grieve the walk at first. And Stairs with a chance to wipe out all those numbers with 1 swing of the bat. Down low, 2-0.
And that's just got to be so frustrating for Dick Pole. Charlie Manuel throw 3 beautiful pitches and then fall behind 2-0 to a guy with 7 grand slams and the ability to put a 4 spot on you in a hurry.
One of those grand slams this year. He is 5 for 15 with the bases loaded. Down to first, fair ball. Segui, the flip, and they get the out. Bases are left loaded, and the Indian fans on their feet. Oakland 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position now. Indians up by 2. Mr. Leday like that.
Yes, exactly right.
The former Yankee. Wow. Gary Thorne, Mike McFarland, and our cast of characters on hand here at the Jake. It is 7-5. The Indians leading it, bottom half of the 8th inning. Jim Messier on in relief.
Coming over in a trade with Tampa Bay, picked him up. Has done an outstanding job for the bullpen. Solidified a bridge getting to Jason Isringhausen, the closer, along with TJ Matthews, Doug Jones. Outstanding changeup and sinker.
And a 3-0 count on Travis Fryman. Fryman, an RBI on a double in the 6th inning. He has scored a run, couple of hits, 3 at bats, 7-game hit streak, and a .330 season average. And he draws a leadoff walk. Only the 2nd walk picked up by the Indians in this game. The leadoff man is on. Bottom 3rd of the order. Due up here in the 8th inning. Cordero, a walk and a run scored in the 5th. The only home run, Jim Thome delivering the blow for Cleveland, is 31st in the 2nd inning. Lofton a couple of RBIs, Vizquel 2 RBIs, Segui an RBI, and Fryman an RBI for the 7-5 lead. Jim Messier with nobody out and a runner on. Fastball to Cordero. Misses inside with it. Ball 1.
It's imperative the A's leave this at a 2-run deficit going into the 9th. That 3rd run's huge.
Hit in the air. Right center field. And a hauled in. Long coming over from deep center on the run into the gap. Cordero's out of there. 1 away. Runner back to first. Einar Diaz coming up. 1 for 3 with a single in the game and a run scored. This ballpark has generated a lot of home runs because the Indians have guys who can hit home runs, but it has overall not been a ballpark that favors the home run hitter as much as it does the hitters for average.
Exactly.
2nd half of our doubleheader, Mets and Padres coming up from San Diego.
There is a lot of room in the outfield to cover, but you, a guy like Kenny Lofton, Terrence Long for that matter tonight, going and getting that ball. Got the short porch in left, then it gets deep. Still a great place to play, even when you come in here to visit. The crowd appreciates good play. They back their team wholeheartedly until the pitchers start throwing a few balls.
Then they tend to get a little excited.
Yes.
And our Diaz up. Diaz just turned away from that one. 1 ball, 1 strike count, 1 away, runner on at first. The pitchers we were talking about, newly acquired. Wickman up.
One of those closers you didn't hear much about. Now he's on a pennant contending team.
Oh, I didn't go in the other way, but the throw was a lob toss over.
Bob Wickman, similar to Todd Jones for the Tigers. Two outstanding closers that nobody really knows about until this year.
One ball, one strike count. Again, throw over because they had Fryman leaning the other way. Fryman was a half step going the other way. There's no stolen bases. He's going to go here. You'd have to
Called
believe he hit and run.
I think he was snoozing.
Yeah, I think he was too. Just kind of walking off a lead there. There he goes, hit and run, fouled off.
See, that's why I'm up here now.
Diaz protected him by fouling the off-speed breaking ball away. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Indians lead at 7-5. Bottom of the 8th inning, trying to tack on a couple of runs, or at least one if they can. The Sears pitch. A little ground ball to short. There's one, and that's all they're going to get. Tejada just made sure that had some English on it. And Aquino at second, just in time to get Fryman, who was charging in. 2 down.
Hit too slow for Miguel to take charge and take the base himself. Had a short little flip to Frankie Menachino. A lot trickier than it looked.
Kenny Lofton. 2 down now. Runner on at first base for Lofton. Sear with a chance to get out of it right here. Give his club a chance in the bottom half. Kenny Lofton, you talk about loving your home yard. How about Lofton's numbers? Not only this year. He's hitting .337 here and .201 on the road.
And that's lately he's just been crushing here.
Only 3 major leaguers have a greater differential between their home average and their road average. And guess where they play? Jeff Cirillo with the Rockies.
Okay.
.410 at Coors, .216 on the road. And Tim Bogart, .257 at Enron in Houston and .99 on the road.
That'll be 0.99.
That would be. And Jeffrey Hammonds, .429 at Coors and .286 on the road.
Jeffrey Hammond's having a great year. Always got to throw those Coors stats in there. You know that's going to be the field where that differential is the greatest.
2-0 count. Lofton waiting. Takes it to center field. Long on his horse. Will have room. Lofton catches him deep and he hits him deep. We go to the 9th inning. Cleveland Indians with a chance to expand their wild card lead, and Wickman will be coming out of the pen.
This ESPN Sports Center update is brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
The NBA's top pick, Kenyon Martin, has signed a 3-year, $9 million contract. In Major League Baseball, Greg Maddux stymied both Todd Helton, who's 0 for 4, drops him to .393, and the Rockies. Greg beat them 5-2. Barry Bonds' 38th homer back Livan Hernandez, who 4-hit the Marlins 5-0. For this Sports Center update, I'm Pam Ward.
Gary Thorne, Mike McFarland with you as we go to the 9th inning, and one of the newly acquired members of the staff of the Cleveland Indians, Bob Wickman.
Good heavy sinker, veteran pitcher. One of those guys we talked about that uses the people behind him. Little slider, comes right after him. 49 hits and 55 innings pitched, 49 K-balls.
With Milwaukee, 16 of 20 in saves on the year, 21 out of 27. And gets a shot at a save here. Adam Pyatt, 2 for 4, a couple of doubles and 2 RBIs, leads it off. That leadoff matter getting on is what matters here for Oakland, and a 1-0 count on Adam Pyatt. .318 on the year for him, and Wickman falls behind 2-0. Burns and then Hernandez, the bottom third of the order, due up for the A's. Wickman with a 2-0 delivery. He's taking all the way. Fastball for a strike. Shuey, the pitcher of record for Cleveland. And the starter, Tim Hudson, the pitcher of record for the A's. Strike taken at the knees, and he evens it up. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
There's that good sinker dropping down to the knees where Bob Wickman lives.
Came from Milwaukee. The deal we talked about earlier. Richie Sexton, the major player, going the other way. Down the right field line and foul. Also got Steve Woodard, Jason Beret in the deal. And they have all made a difference already, getting a lot of work for the Indians. Wickman with a 2-ball, 2-strike count on the leadoff batter here in the 9th inning. Adam Pyatt fights it off. Second half of our doubleheader coming up. We'll take you as soon as this one is done to San Diego, where the Mets are taking on the Padres. That coming up next here on ESPN. Most of you are going to see that one. Mets in a race to try and catch Atlanta for the division and leading in the wild card race. 2-2 delivery. 3 foul balls on a 2-2 count.
Good quality at bat by Adam Pyatt. Breaking ball from Wickman, staying in there, trying to do whatever it takes, get on base, bring the tying run to the plate.
The Blue Jays and Tigers have both won their ball games today, so those are the standings current for the moment in the wild card race. 2 managers looking for postseason play. Grounded is short. Omar Vizquel.
Money.
The vacuum cleaner makes the play. 1 down.
Omar Vizquel, how routine is this? Top of the 9th inning, slow roller. I'm going to charge the whole way. Flip the ball, chest high, ho-hum. You know, you just watch how soft his hands are, how accurate his throws are. His ability to contort his body to make a play, adjustments in air. Love watching he and Alomar play. Incredible up the middle.
1 down. Wickman after the save gets the strike. Eric Burns. Burns flied out, only at bat that he's had in the game. Takes that one to deep center field. Playable. Lofton. 2 down.
Cleveland Indians are starting to play with the intensity that I was used to seeing the past 13 years, just coming out in their ballpark and taking it to you, getting down early, 3 runs and then exploding for 4 in the 5th inning. Kenny Lofton, a healthy Kenny Lofton, to me is still the catalyst on this ball club. But again, I still believe the Oakland A's, they have a soft spot coming up in their schedule that they're going to have to take full advantage of.
9th inning, 2 down. The Indians have a 7-5 lead. A win here, and they will have won 5 in a row. And Oakland will have lost 3 consecutive. Ramon Hernandez with 2 down. Wickman. 2 strikes. Wickman looking for save number 22 on the year, his 6th as a member of the Indians. Paul Shuey could get his 4th win and go 4-1. Tim Hudson would take the loss. He'd be 13-6. Foul back to keep the game on a 2-strike count by Hernandez. Oakland would be 1-6 on this road trip and drop below 500 on the year on the road with a loss. Down the right field side for a base hit, so hang on. Cabrera gets it back in. The potential tying run will come to the plate with 2 down here in the 9th inning.
What a nice at-bat by Ramon Hernandez. Down to his last strike. Staying inside the ball, fighting it off, driving it into the field, right field for a base hit. Struggling second part of the season. Crunches down, slider outside part, poke check into right field. Great job by a rookie hitter.
We go to the leadoff spot with a runner on. Frank Minichino takes the pitch for a strike. He almost launched one out of the ballpark in his last at bat when he ended up with a single. He put one deep and foul down the left field side. Has 5 home runs on the year, hitting .241. Wickman. Strike 2.
After throwing those first 2 pitches of the inning for a ball, Wickman's really settled in. Good quality strikes down in the zone.
Fourteen straight strikes thrown by Wickman. One more and he'll get it. Slow roller. Alomar. It's over. Bartolo Colon, non-decision, 5 1/3, 5 runs on 6 hits, but the bullpen got it done. Shuey will win it. Rincon, Carsey, and then Wickman. Wickman gets the save, his 6th as a Cleveland Indian, and they beat Tim Hudson, the ace of the A's, who takes the loss and goes 13-6. So the Indians, who earlier this year had problems at home, have now won 10 of their last 11 games at the Jake. And they do it against a team they're battling with for a wild card spot. For Mike McFarland and all of our crew, thank you for joining us here in Cleveland. Lots more baseball to come. I'm Gary Thorne. Speaking of other races going on in that other league, here's Dave and Joe, San Diego and the Mets.